Hey everyone, guess what? We do not have ugly swag. We have spaced out radio gear that you're going to want to wear. Why? Because no one wants to wear ugly clothing. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and go shopping today. You'll be glad you did. And it's a great way to support our show. Once you get your gear, send us a picture of you rocking out in your SOR swag. spacedoutradio.com, shop there today, and make yourself look good.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the After Hours radio show right here on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Mr. Rob G. It's going to be an awesome show tonight. As you already know, we're going to have Preston Dennett for hours 1 and 2, and we will have Drew Banke and Steve Stockton on hour 3. It's going to be an awesome show leading into the end of the year, right? A lot of stuff been going on. We're going to get into as much as we can tonight, and don't go anywhere. Make sure you stay right here, right where you're at. Let's go ahead and take a look and see who has come in with the medal positions. Looks like courtesy of Race Fan. We got Race Fan with the gold, Kitty Catty Whack with the silver, and then Lil Cam 5-1 with the bronze. Appreciate you coming on in. Let's see. We have also Dolly Safran. Dolly, we may have to get you to join us hour 2. I don't know if you're set up to do anything, but we may have to get you to do that if you are up to it. We got Race Fan once again. We have Tamoth Man saying hi, Kitty. Second wrench in. Hey, Tamoth Man, thanks for coming on in. Michael Kennedy saying yay, Preston with the popcorn. Get your popcorn. You already know Preston is awesome every time, bringing the information that we need. Roger Murray also is bringing the information that we need. A little UFO history, December 29th, 1980, 44th anniversary Cash Landrum incident. The two women witnessed a diamond-shaped UFO. Some people say it's man-made. I don't know. We'll ask Preston about it. Chasing it with both women exposed to radioactivity, essentially. Thanks for keeping us informed, Roger Murray, with the knowledge here. That's always welcome, and we do appreciate you. Thanks for coming on in. Let's see. Jessica S. is here in the building. Thanks for coming in, Jessica S. JSCO77 saying howdy, y'all. Thanks for coming on in. Miss Catherine Jones, greeting Mr. Rob G and SOR fans. Appreciate you for coming on in, Miss Catherine. Who else do we have? We have Road Flare in the building. Thanks for coming in, saying hi, Rob. Mel WD40 getting us lubed up for the show. Appreciate you showing on up. JMJ12. New name. I love it. Thanks for coming in. Invisible Tracker. Thanks for coming on in. We appreciate you. UFO Tim James, Saturday night with Mr. Rob G. Awesome. Evening, everyone. Pop back in later. Homemade apple pie. Got it for the birthday. Happy birthday, UFO Tim James. I meant to tell you that on social media. Happy birthday to UFO Tim James. Maybe we'll sing to him later. We'll see. Ruth Kleber, thanks for coming on in. Thanks for showing up here. The After Hours radio show. Thomas Rock, appreciate you showing on up. You are here, and I appreciate it for sure. The Eric Indris Unexplained, appreciate you coming on in. Woo, I Am, same thing. Ruth Kleber, appreciate you. We're going live right now on podcast. Thanks for coming on in Space Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. I'm your host, Mr. Rob G. Hours 1 and 2, we have Preston Dennett, the awesome Preston Dennett, and we have Drew Bankey and Steve Stockton. Hour number 3, jam-packed show. Don't go anywhere. Here we go. Let's go. Greetings, space travelers. Welcome home. You've just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I am your host, Mr. Rob G. And tonight we're broadcasting to you on our terrestrial affiliates across North America, plus digitally on digital platforms all around the world. Don't forget, you can access our archives for absolutely free. YouTube.com/@SpacedOutRadio. And while you're there, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to follow us on X and Instagram @SpacedOutRadio and @SpacedOutRadioShow. Our website, it's spacedoutradio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the SR Newswire. Get yourself some official Spaced Out swag. Plus, rock out to the man you hear right there, right now, Mr. Ron Bubba Fithall, and oh so much more. We're going to have an awesome show tonight. The legend Preston Dennett is in the building here tonight for hours 1 and 2. And maybe we get Dolly Safran sighting. We'll see what happens here. We do appreciate everyone for coming on in. We also will have Drew Bankey with the After Hours wrap up, plus Steve Stockton with Tales Untold, Missing Person Mysteries, jam-packed show. Make sure you don't go anywhere. Stay right here. Go get a friend. Get on the phone and phone a friend. Tell a friend the show is on, and let's get it all together. We do appreciate everybody coming on in tonight. I am so glad to be here as well. We are not going to delay at all any. We're going to go ahead and jump right on into the show and bring on our guest of the evening, who is the man, the myth, the legend, author of so many books. And if you got to check out his YouTube page over at the Light Gate as well, because there's just endless content. He's always pumping out content like a machine. None other than Preston Dennett. Let me go ahead and bring him on up on screen. And Preston, thanks for coming in tonight, man. We do appreciate you showing up. You are a legend, I must say, and your work is appreciated, sir. You are muted.
All right. Yep. Sorry about that.
It's all good. You were saying?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And I did just send Dolly the link, so maybe she'll pop on. I let her know it's okay.
Yeah, definitely. Dolly's always welcome here with Preston Dennett, and it's been a long time since I had you both. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, Dolly is in the chat. Let's get Dolly on the show. Let's do that. So we'll get into all that. It's a lot of stuff been going on since the last time we talked, and I'm just so excited to get your opinion on it. I don't even want to delay it any, so I want to get right into it. We had the UFO drones. Let's just start there. What were your thoughts on the drones and the fact that they're still going on to this day, as far as I know?
Yeah, I guess it has quieted down a little bit. We're not having quite the frenzy we had. It's been going on, I think, since mid-November, so a full month of this. I think that's about right. And I was suspicious from the beginning about this because of mainly the timing of it and the way it was being handled in the media, because we were having some real major steps towards disclosure with these congressional hearings and these whistleblowers, not just Grush and Graves and these folks, but, Elizondo and Admiral Gallaudet and, a lot of hearings. And then this huge wave of drones comes on, and almost never does our media cover UFO waves. And not this time. They are not only covering it, it's a complete frenzy. It's a free-for-all. And that really kind of raised my eyebrows. I'm like, what is going on here? And there's some of the ways that these objects, I find the terminology also interesting. They're not necessarily calling them UFOs. The term most popular is drones or UAPs, and orbs, of course, have now made their appearance. And we've got a lot of contradictory statements from the intelligence agencies. And honestly, senators and representatives are being interviewed and coming out and saying, we don't know a darn thing about this. Governors can't get any answers either. I just find the way all of this is being handled very strange and unusual and suspicious. Also, the timing of the fact that we're switching sort of governments or, administrations, I should say. Not governments. Government is still going. But yeah, I mean, that is the first thing that really kind of makes me wonder what the heck is going on here. And another thing that's odd to me is that these are being seen almost exclusively at night. Which, is not terribly unusual. But when it comes to your standard UFO wave, there's usually people are seeing saucers with portholes. And they're coming down for landings, and people are reporting humanoids. We're not seeing any of that. And talking to Dolly Safran, I hope she does pop in. In the military. She worked for the Department of Defense. She's got the inside track to a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
And she's absolutely certain from her sources, which include ET as well, that this is not ET. And I have to tell you, I've looked at the footage. It's very hard to trust what's out there because these days anything can be CGI'd or photoshopped or AI'd. And unless it's vetted, which is really hard to do from our standpoint here, sitting at home looking on the computer on Facebook and what have you, we don't know if these videos are legitimate. Some clearly are. I mean, it's clearly something is going on. There's no doubt about that. And I have talked to witnesses who have seen this stuff. And it's pretty divided. There's basically two camps. One like, oh, this is ET, and one's like, nope, this is military ops, secret military tech. And I'm kind of in the former camp, the military ops camp at this point. That's my assessment based on what I've been able to gather. But, we're all at a point where we don't have a whole lot of information to be able to make a really, firm conclusions about what's going on here. So it's a mess.
It is a mess. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And yeah, I think we've all gone down the thought processes of what makes the most sense. I'm still in the club of I just feel like, yes, there are man-made things up there that we're seeing for sure. I don't think there's a doubt about that. But then the reasoning is why. If you had to guess, where is your mind gone when you think about the why?
Yeah. Well, first let's go through the theories of what this could all be, right? Because people are saying, well, maybe it's just hobbyists, guys out there flying their little pet drones. We know that that's not the case because these are drones that are clearly advanced, moving at much higher speed than a citizen's drone, that legally acquired can do. So I think we can pretty much discard that. Now, I heard one theory which kind of made me laugh. AI has escaped and it's taking over drones. And I say that facetiously, but we need to consider all options.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't think it's that. Again, so that leaves us with two main options. Either this is ET or it's military. And we do know the military certainly has technology that can mimic ET and do the things we're seeing. But why would they do this? This is what concerns me, actually, because if this is actually going on, could this be what we've been fearing for a while? which is steps towards the government putting forth what some people have termed Project Bluebeam or a fake ET invasion. I am worried about that. I think that's a possibility we have to seriously consider, that this is more of a public relations exercise in some way, a test to see how the public would react. There's also the possibility that this is purely legal. They're searching for nuclear materials. This idea has been, of course, floated out pretty strongly more recently. And apparently there's quite a few legitimate cases of people, these things crashing, and so far purely military. We're not getting any reports of something that's ET, which of course would probably be hushed up right away. I don't know, the whole coverage, it's maddening to see how this is being covered, because it does feel very much like propaganda. And at the same time, we're getting completely contradictory stories from people we should be able to trust. Pentagon folks, the CIA, they've released statements. And one thing, there's nothing to fear. There's nothing going on. It's hobbyists. No, it's not hobbyists. Maybe we should be afraid. We don't know what these are. Yes, we do. No, we don't. I mean, we can't get a straight answer here. And that concerns me.
And that does concern me too. I mean, and it definitely feels narrative driven. And one of the things, the propaganda push that you talked about, is something that I wanted to talk about too, because when we look at the footage that we get from the news, this is coming straight from observers out there, but it's been proven that some of these things that they show on the newsreel on loop were actually regular aircraft. So, we're getting into a moment where now the public is educated. I think it's good that the thing is still happening, even though not as much. And I think the decrease in activity has to do with the bans that they've been putting up. So I think that would get all the normal drones out of the sky, for better words here. But
it could be the coverage as well. I mean, we don't know, because a UFO wave often depends on whether a person steps forward and reports it. And this causes a snowball effect where other people have the courage to come forth with their accounts. So I think that's partly what we're seeing here. But for all we know, it is still going strong. I find it curious that it began in New Jersey and kind of spread real quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I did a show where I went down the list and I just tried to logically think through this and try to point to why it wouldn't be a hobbyist or a private entity flying their drones. And I just feel like if it was them, just like it was proven with the Chinese national out here at Vandenberg a couple of weeks ago, that if they had drone detection systems on site, which is how they detected his 2-pound drone, as a matter of fact, very small compared to all these other things, but they were able to track it at over a mile above the base. And so I know they have this technology at other bases around the country. They would have to. It doesn't make sense that they wouldn't, especially in the moment where we're watching drone warfare take place overseas. That's been going on for over a year now with the drones specifically. So it just leads me to believe that we've known from day one, our government has known exactly what these things are. And the thing that bugs me is that, okay, if we're looking at the military aspect of it, if it's military, why would they continuously put it on display for over a month, night after night after? If it was something that was secret, you wouldn't want your adversaries to see what this is, and they can tune in like clockwork, 8 p.m. every night, and see exactly what it is that is going up in the air. So that's kind of what takes me away from it being military. And I'm trying to make it make sense. Now, you talk about the false flag. That's been a big thing, which I never thought truthfully was something that could happen. But it does kind of mimic some of the things that Stephen Greer has talked about in the past. What do you feel about the false flag aspect? And I still don't understand how the false flag even makes sense for the government to want to do that. But if you wouldn't mind going into that.
Yeah. Well, first I will say that Dolly says she's in the waiting room, so you can bring her in at any time. She's waiting. But yeah, I mean, the false flag is something I think that there's been a lot of buzz about this for quite some time. And if you look at all these accounts that are going on, I think it's entirely possible that this is exactly what we're seeing. And this would certainly explain why this is getting such a heavy media coverage, which is highly suspicious to me, because almost never are UFOs covered in the media. It just doesn't happen. Now, occasionally there is an event of such magnitude that it's impossible to cover up. And we did see this with the Phoenix Lights, and certainly with the Hudson Valley Wave and Gulf Breeze, Stevensville to a certain extent. But I'm still leaning towards this being the beginnings, sort of false flag test run, perhaps. Now, these haven't, as far as I know, hurt anybody, but I'm sure Dolly has a lot to say about this, because she has a direct pipeline to ET. And she keeps reminding me and everyone that they're not here now. And Dolly can say a lot more about this.
Yeah, let's hear from Dolly Safran. Dolly, welcome to the show. Appreciate you coming in. And if you wouldn't mind going ahead and adding to this.
All right. Well, first of all, ET are not here. They can't be here. Our magnetosphere is down 40%. Our poles are in mid-change. The ley lines are chaotic. We're letting gamma radiation in like crazy, and it's not safe for ET to fly here anymore. They started crashing because of it, and it's past what they'll tolerate. The governments knew this. 2 years ago, I'll give you the first hint where the government realized that they were starting to get away with stuff, is they immediately began to go to the moon again. After all this time, no moon shots, nothing, and now all of a sudden they're all over the moon. They also have drones and types of spacecraft that are all over the sun right now as well. We have one that just did the closest pass by ever in the history of our world. They have had carte blanche on this planet while they're not here. They've known that they are not impeded by them in any way. Their paranoia to think that they would stop them from doing the things that they want to do is now gone. And they are now acting upon all that which they've been planning for the last 80 to 100 years. This is serious stuff. One of the things that I want you all to realize is that we have drones flying all over us, and nobody is admitting to anybody where they're from, who they belong to, and how they're getting here. We have some people documenting it, trying to anyway, but for the most part, our president and the DOD and everybody else is going, don't worry about it. This is, in my mind, and I'm military, so I'm just going to lay it out in lavender for you. This is treasonous behavior. Because if another world government is here marking our bases and taking pictures of them and seeing where all our silos are and all that stuff, that and a president allowed that intrusion, that is absolute treason. And I need people to start thinking like Americans or anybody of the world with half a brain, and to understand that they're getting ready to launch World War III. The way Trump is talking right now, he is already setting up Axis and allies. He's arranging Canada. He wants Greenland. I mean, y'all need to seriously think this through. China's about to invade, Taiwan. We have the Middle East falling apart, and it is a world in chaos. And the people that created it are the ones who've been in power and unfortunately have another 30 days to go before they're out. Now, y'all have to understand that y'all need to be thinking not about ET, and the false flag is to make you think it's ET, to pardon them from all the binoculars on them and the clear thinking about what it is they're actually accomplishing right before your very eyes. This is a time of necessary thinking, calm thinking, and rational thinking. We're a world that has experienced World War many times, and we're getting better and better and better at it. And if you add up all the movements of all the countries in the last 4 years and longer, you will see that they are now poised and ready to commit unbelievable things in a world war. And dragging ET into it is just the tip of the cake, because they can have people who would not otherwise think about it think about ET and not what they're doing.
Yeah, I would say that the media coverage feels like it's designed to confuse and instill fear.
It is. It's psyoping. Greer has that correct. Okay, it's psyoping, and they are going to make you think that ET is bad, horrific, and start showing up with craft that look like ET but are not, and are killing people, so that we don't blame them. Period. This is what World War is all about. This is how they commit genocide on the people of the earth. It is also well known that we're at 8.4 million and totally unsustainable. They've broken supply chains. They have broken food. Hell, what's his face owns quite a bit of our farmland, not to mention China. And they've shut down production of food. People are going to go hungry. You realize that. They're about to drop the economy. I want to talk to you about cryptocurrency. I need you all to understand what that's really all about. The banking system as it is now is owned by a certain few people, and they're willing to crash it so that we go to cryptocurrency. That is a world domination ploy. Also, cryptocurrency worldwide, dominated by this different type of banking system, will own everybody on this planet. They will be able to march you around and keep up with you, just like they do in China. You can't even have credit in China if you commit something wrong, some sort of crime against spirituality or personhood, or go against their rules. In China, these people are slaves to this already. It's like that in many, many other countries as well. We need to start paying attention to what's really happening here now. And I've stated this before, and a lot of people find this unpleasant, and I'm just trying not to go there too badly. But y'all need to understand we're at the end of a 12,000-year cycle. Our planet is going to become catastrophically imploding it on itself because of our sun, which is about to rev one up on us. And they can't have us all running around like maniacs when this happens. Your safety is at risk. Everybody's is worldwide. And I need y'all to think it through. And the only chance anybody really has right now is, hopefully Trump's on this page, is to tell them, no, we're going to have peace. You're not going to come after us with all this crap. You're going to stop telling us the aliens are here, because they are not. And we're all going to calm down and figure this out the right way. That's the chance you have. If you keep getting all excited about ET coming after you and all this stuff, and running after stupid stuff on YouTube and everywhere else, and all the CGI that's going on, and the news media that doesn't tell you the truth, you are prime for the picking. Think, please, I implore everybody within the sound of my voice, y'all need to realize what's really going on. Watch this video more than once.
I don't think it's any coincidence that contactees are moving off grid in large numbers. This is something that I see with a lot of contactees. And it's a rare contactee that hasn't been given messages of our uncertain future and to prepare for this. It's a very, very common message. So these are things that I think this is what ET has been warning us about for a very long time. The corruption and greed within our government, the war and aggression, and major future Earth changes,
right?
Various variations.
I need to understand something. The time is absolutely now. We're way overdue.
We're going to break right now, our first break of the night. So you guys don't go anywhere. We're getting into real talk here with Preston, Dennett, Dolly Safran, right here on the Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. You guys get your popcorn. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right here. All right, we are clear. and we have 5 minutes, and so obviously we can chat and talk, but let's hold the meat and potatoes for after the break.
Yeah, definitely.
How have you guys been doing?
Good. I had surgery on December 13th, and I'm healing, and I'm doing really good. Yay!
Good.
And Preston's writing furiously. We got Symmetry 2 to try to finish now, going on, and he's doing all his stuff that he does on top of everything else. Plus, he's got another book right behind Symmetry that he's trying to roll out and get, sticky with it.
Oh, I've got him lined up. Trust me.
Yeah. He's a machine. He's definitely a machine.
Yeah.
What is this? Would this be 34, 35 books now at this point?
Symmetry 2, but we do have, it's not going to be called that. We have a title. We're not releasing it yet. Will be number 33. But I have 34 pretty much, halfway done.
Yeah.
I'm going to re-release some of my books that went out of print. I got the rights back from them. Yay. So I'm excited about that. And and this is a subject that is really exploding right now. Mm-hmm. Not just UFOs, but the paranormal as well. So now is the time because people are coming into this field in huge numbers. Yes. It's pretty exciting.
It is very exciting. I actually was talking to someone about that earlier today. That we had another moment, which I didn't think we would have, where the globe is kind of slowing down to focus on what this is, and then by the curiosity is now leading them in to researching things that they've never read before and discovering Preston, Dennett, Dolly Safran, and amongst many others who are talking about the subject. So it is great that we got a lot of focus on this right now. So regardless what this ends up being,
right,
at the end of the day, the focus has been turned on to UFOs, and I thank God for that.
Yeah, it's about time. I've been in this field forever, and I would be always just blown away whenever I saw it on the news. I'm like, look, somebody actually mentioned UFO. Now it's every day. It's daily.
Right.
It's not quite how I wish it was being covered, but it's being covered.
It was so funny to me, not really funny, but kind of that the focus, like you have hearings, you have back-to-back hearings, you have all these other things going on pertaining to UFOs. You sit in front of Congress, try to get them to ask the right questions and go and research and go and find the stuff they need to find. And they kind of did it. You see the engagement is increasing, but they really went after it with this. And I'm like, okay, couldn't the focus been, it's still important. It's unknown things in the sky, either way it goes. So
yeah, well, they have a narrative. They're presumptively working their narrative, not ours, theirs. We have questions, they're not answering them. They're telling us what they want us to think, hear, and feel, period. And they're not going to roll it out in a nice way. It eventually is going to become a national security threat. It already has been stated that way by Lou Elizondo himself and Grush and all the other ones who are supposedly whistleblowers. They are priming you to believe that ET are going to stomp you out, and it is absolutely not true. They don't have to admit they're real. They're just going to make them a national security threat. That gives credence to what they say and not what we know and understand. See what I'm saying?
Which is so ironic because Blue Book said not a national security threat. Condon Committee, Robertson panel, all through up for decades.
Right.
Not a national security threat. They don't even exist. Go away.
Right.
180-degree turnaround. Very suspicious.
You have people like Michael Surratt, who has been documenting types of craft. He knows what they are. He knows they're military made, not ET. They know, he knows what a real ET craft is and how they got into them after crashing in the first place. He's gone out of his way, and his number one statement to everybody that I know of is that what's happening now is not ET. He knows it's not. Him, Greer, Lazar, a whole bunch of people are trying to roll out the truth to y'all, and you need to listen and understand the truth of it because they are absolutely not here. Absolutely not here. I want y'all to try to imagine the Earth's magnetosphere. What it is out from the center of the planet, It's a giant magnetic ball. We have a giant iron core, and it's magnetic, and it's shooting waves of energy out in a positive direction and a negative direction. And these waves circle the Earth and keep it cohesive, and it covers it in a way that any energy coming from the sun or anywhere else in our universe is being pushed away and around us. Right now, that's not happening. Our poles have now moved. They're wrong, way wrong. They're almost past Siberia already. And we don't have that.
Dolly, we're coming back. Let's do this right now. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show, back with our guest for the night, Dolly Safran and Preston Dennett. We're getting into some deep conversation, so I hope that you stick around, hit the like button, let us know you like the show as well. Also, if you're watching us from X, any social media platform, please don't forget to go ahead and hit the like button. Let us know that you like the show as we go ahead and jump back into the conversation here. And Dolly, we were talking before the break. You were kind of laying out some groundwork on why this is not extraterrestrial and why this is government involvement. And there's a lot of people out there because, you know, there obviously are things going on in the world that signify things like potentially going into World War III, along with a lot of other things that could be related or could be looked at and viewed as separate from this, as all these things could be true at one time. If you wouldn't mind kind of going into why you feel these things are related to what Greer's been talking about for 20 years now, false flag operations, and kind of help people understand why you feel that that's the case.
Well, it's not just David Greer. I mean, Mr. Greer, Steve Greer. I'm talking about another guy by the name of Ben Davidson, who is a self-taught astrophysicist. He is a brilliant man, and he knows what he's talking about. And he's laid this out and mapped it out for years. And he has perfect educational materials out there for you all to watch and understand. We're at a 12,000-year cycle, and it's on us. We're overdue any minute. From the minute you hear my voice right now, all the way up until about a year from now, we are looking at a CME of unbelievable proportions that's going to come through a magnetosphere that is down 40%. And it is going to annihilate our worldwide grids. It is going to send us back to the Stone Age. The military people and the people, the 1%ers who've known about this, know that their time is short and that they have a very small amount of time in which to rectify how many people are going to be around for this and how many are not. They believe that culling the herd, us and everybody else on this planet, is preferable to everybody fighting over resources after it happens. And the least of all thing that they want to have happen is everybody come after them in all their hidey holes. And a lot of people know where they are. Their time is short. And that world war is exactly staging for this. All the diseases that have been hit, all of the problems that are going on right now, all of it are happening because of what's going on. They have a very small window left of time to where they can accomplish their agendas. And that is culling the world populations. It's called genocide. And they think it's preferable to everybody killing everybody over very little what's going to be left once that CME hits.
Yeah, which has been done for a long time. I mean, the Irish potato famine of the 1850s could easily have been avoided. We had the food. The governments knew about it. They did not feed those people.
Yeah, they let them die. Yeah. There was a famine in Sweden. I have a great-grandmother who came here because of it as well, that they let them die.
There was one in China in the 70s. There was one in Ukraine that was vicious and horrible in the 1900s.
Look what they're doing in Africa. The continent of Africa. Look at Sudan.
The Armenian genocide. I mean, it just goes on and on.
And on and on. And for the last 100 years, and they mean it. They're doing it. And we're so busy being misdirected by everything else in life. You know, how happy can you be not knowing the truth? And they don't want you to know the truth. And they've been orchestrating and organizing this for at least, they've known about it 100 years, and they've been hot at it for the last 75, 80. It is real. This is happening, and it's going to be a shock to people, and I don't want it to be that way. ET doesn't want it to be that way. They've been trying to make contact before they had to leave. They were doing the best that they could to start getting you to look up and realize that you're not alone and that you're living on a planet where everybody's out of control, and we have to fix this ourselves. This is our problem.
This is why contact is so widespread. They're basically mounting a grassroots campaign to educate the people firsthand, because they did go to our governments. We know this.
Yeah, well, they were afraid of them. Our governments worldwide have been afraid of ET. That's why they didn't go back to the moon after the Apollo landings. They couldn't. They were told, no, don't come back. And they knew why. The minute they left, they went straight to the moon first. They're messing with the sun because they know the sun is a problem. They have all these weird things that they're telling you, so many untruths to the people on this planet that it's ghastly to me. I hear every day. I hear something that is absolutely not true, and y'all got to stop.
The media is very tightly controlled, and this is why your show, Rob, is so important, because this is our best weapon. Educating. Right. This is our best tool to deal with what's going on right now, is to educate ourselves and discern the truth of what's going on,
and then
which is hard to do because the knowledge is out there.
If you keep sitting on the edge of your seat waiting for the media to tell you one more thing, you are going to be one heck of a victim of what they got planned. I need y'all to start thinking for yourselves. And you need to start looking at all the evidence as a whole, not this or that or that or this, all of it at one time. And you'll see a beautiful picture of treason and espionage and lying and wholesale genocide worldwide. It's not okay. And we need to pay attention to that.
Look at the national debt. All this stuff is connected. And the fact that money really doesn't even exist anymore. We all know that banks only have to carry 10% of the actual amount that's in their people's deposits. They don't have your money.
They dropped the gold
standard and they don't actually have it.
Most people don't even know that. They moved the gold after that. It's no longer in Fort Knox, and I hate to tell you who has it. It's crazy. We are playing with lies, and we're playing with untruths. And we've lost the ability to prepare for ourselves. And people need to wake up really fast so that they can start doing that. It's important. You have to decide what you want your future to be. And it's not bleak, but it's definitely coming at you, and you need to prepare for it.
We chose to be here. That's one way I like to look at it. We did actually, from a very high spiritual perspective, I believe that is true. We all did choose to come and incarnate on this planet, knowing full well how, what's coming towards us.
Yeah. And I, for one, don't want to see a world war start where we're all jumping in and saying, yay, 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 and thinking ET's killing us too, and start trying to fire. You see what I'm saying? We've got more than one enemy being poised to come at us. And ET is the last one you should even consider. It's your governments that are after you, not ET, not at all.
Let's look at it. Let's take a step back, because I want to kind of position this real quick. So for us within ufology, and we know just for starters that governments and powers around the world are diabolical and evil and have done so many horrific things that we can list since the beginning of time. But even also knowing that, okay, and then let's remove ufology from the equation, because I think within ufology, we obviously all know that we've seen UFOs, so we know that the presence is here. Now let's subtract ourselves from the conversation and look at the rest of the population, where you have people who, with this drone thing, this is the first time they even considered maybe that there's something else going on out there. Now, my whole thing is like, okay, if the government is looking at the majority, which is these people who don't even tune into UFO stuff, why would they use a UFO false flag for those people? Like for us, I understand, because we know that they're there, and the mix-up would be obvious for us because we wouldn't be able to differentiate in a false flag situation. But for those who don't even think it's real, who don't even think about UFOs ever, Why would the government use UFOs as a
Because they've already conditioned public to believe everything they say. Look what just happened in 2020. How many people have eaten, slept, drank that emergency? How many people were prepared to kill each other over masking? Okay, let's get real here. Everybody is poised and set to believe anything this government says to you. And if they tell you ET's coming, they're going to believe it, whether they believe it now or not. It is going to become a national security event. You watch.
UFOs, by the way, have saturated the media for 50 years in advertising, video games, books, movies. And Gallup polls show that over 50% of people, certainly in the United States, do believe that UFOs are real and are visiting our planet.
High numbers.
I think what we've reached is kind of that 100th monkey. We're like, okay, we've got enough people now where we can push forward this plan because we have to. Because now we have disclosure happening. There's so much evidence, mountains of it, that if our governments don't disclose or take steps towards it, they become irrelevant. They lose control of the narrative. They're not credible. That's the last thing they want.
Okay.
So they're going to fly a false flag in your face. And I want to tell you something. You also need to watch China right now because before Trump goes into office, they're going to attack Taiwan. They are ready to go. They're already doing things in the North Seas that are deplorable. They're pulling fiber optic wires out of the ground. They're using Russia to do it as well. Okay, this just happened yesterday. A big tanker just raked the bottom of the ocean with its big old anchor and pulled a bloody communications line between Estonia and Swaria. Okay, this is not a joke. They can do anything they want to whenever they want to. They are bold and they're going for it. And I guarantee you that Taiwan is in trouble. And Trump may not be able to get into office fast enough to even help them. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, start a war, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing, though. I think the world issues are for sure. It's about the relatability, though, is what I'm trying to get across and trying to understand as we talk through this. Is we know global issues are happening. We know war can happen in the drop of a dime. Anyone can push the button on one of these weapons. So we do know that. But okay, so looking at this, if this is a false flag, then wouldn't part of this display that they're doing, wouldn't it be to admit that, yeah, these are alien craft, or at least try to make someone believe that they are, because the silence is deafening and they're not admitting to anything.
Okay, I want you to understand something. You're not used to war being played on your territory. In the United States, most Americans have no conceivable idea whatsoever, these generations, because the other ones are already dead and gone, what it's like to fight on your own soil. And that is what they're going to perpetrate. They're going to come in here and they're going to blast military facilities like you would not believe and make you think it's ET. They're going to terrorize you with this. They're going to run you into cities and tell you you're safe there while they do all of this so they can get you. That's what they're going to do. That is the plan. Absolutely been the plan for a long time. Okay,
I'm certainly concerned about it because
the minute war starts, your supply chains are going to drop. You understand? We don't produce enough here on our own now. We are dependent on other countries like Canada and like Brazil and Mexico and places like that. Your food supplies are going to drop. You want to know what it's like to go hungry during war? Try to think of what your great grandparents went through. They were going through all kinds of things. You remember what concentration camps were? If you didn't look right, you got thrown in one. This is going to happen again, and it's going to be rapidly deployed on you. And I want you to understand that if you're not ready for that, if you're not ready to survive that, you're in a lot of trouble. Most people don't have 3 days worth of food in their house, let alone 3 months to a year. This is coming. We're not playing games here. I want you to stop analyzing everything. This is going to happen. It's an absolute fact. That's why I came out. I'm telling you, this is going to happen. Please don't be shocked or surprised. It's coming.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason that they're not calling them UFOs is because nothing creates fear and confusion more than misinformation and disinformation.
Correct.
And this is what I think they're doing intentionally. I mean, this has been their game from day one. Let's face it. It's been a misinformation game from day one. They
Yeah.
wanted everyone to believe that every single UFO account could be explained as one of four things. It's either a hoax, a hallucination, a misperception, or mental illness, all the while knowing full well it's real, all the while spending most of our tax dollars and their energy on this subject. This is a very, very high priority subject.
Right. I also want to remind you all of something else, and this is absolute truth telling right now. 7 million people are in this country undocumented, and all 7 million of them, it's more like 14, but 7 million of them are aged male fighting men. Everybody that came over the wall, or everybody who's come through the border for the last 4 years, has a telephone, and that telephone has an app on it. And the minute they start going looking for them, that app will warn them to get the hell out of Dodge and go somewhere else and escape, because they're here for a reason. They're here for a reason. Please understand that if a government's going to take us over, they're going to do it from within, not from without. And this has been coming for a while. And you've all watched it happen. You've all, in whatever name of charity or whatever, you let the government make these decisions for you in a treasonous way. And now we're going to have to deal with it. You have that on top of it. When I say add it all up in your head, I'm not joking around. You've all been taught to hate one another in ways that are deplorable and unbelievably not okay, right? Yeah. Because you're a Republican or a Democrat, because you're a different ethnicity, okay? This is not good. Or whether you have something in your body protecting you from some disease because you believe you're not going to get it if you have that, thing going on. It's not true. We have things that have been going on in this country behind your back that you are totally 100% aware of. I'm not telling you anything you can't even go look up right now. You should. Right now, the World Health Organization owns you. If they decide we're in a pandemic or a plague, they take over above our country. They can force you to do what they want you to do.
There are things we can do. I mean, I saw a question in chat, what steps can we take? One, educate yourself to the best of your ability. Another, and I think this is really important because it's helpful no matter what you're dealing with, is to develop your psychic ability. Not hard to do. You can do it through a simple meditation exercises. Even 5 minutes a day has tremendous benefits. Right. That's really important. And, it never hurts to save some rice and beans and pasta. You can get some pretty cheap, and, a couple of $100. You can buy enough food
to last you a year or better. Yeah. If you can get water purification tablets. I'm going to warn you about something else. The first thing that's going to happen in this country if we go to war is they're going to start sabotaging our water plants. They will go after all of it.
There was some talk about that with the drones, by the way. Did you hear that? With the reservoirs in New Jersey supposedly having that strange odor or a chemical odor coming
from. They're already coming after it. If you watch what happened in Ukraine, ask somebody from Ukraine what they started decimating first. And we're talking water, infrastructure, supply, food, gas, anything that kept you going is stripped away from them. Then they started taking their buildings out and the people out. The people were running for their lives. And they're still not okay. And it's still not done. That country is decimated. Okay.
And I understand that. And I agree. I do agree but I think that the two things, I think that the direction that politics and war is going to take is the inevitability of war coming at some point in time here in the future. But why does it have to intersect with aliens though? That's the part that doesn't make sense. There's so many other reasons that war can kick off and
it's personal. But it's why? They're going to start killing people and they don't want you to flee the government. So they're going to make aliens responsible. Understand? If you see a soldier, he's going to be safe for you, you think, because the aliens are coming to get you. That's why. Because they can't do away with more people that any other way. They want you to think they're the safe guys and the aliens are the bad guys. And they're going to make you believe that it's true. And they're going to be killing you with technology that they back engineered and call it aliens and force you into only believing them so they can control everything you do to the last moment of your life. This is not okay. That's the absolute reason why. If I want to take out 80% of the population here. I can't do it forthright because we'll pick up pitchforks, guns, and everything and go after them. Our own army will stand down at that point and say, what the hell do you think you're doing? So they're going to use aliens to get away with it. That's why a false flag. Think this one through, critically think this through. They're going to make you believe it's somebody else so that they can get away with doing what they're doing until they get you. This is real.
I think a good example of this would be the cattle mutilations, which I didn't really want to look into, but I ended up looking into them because I did a book on New Mexico and in Colorado, which are both the hardest hit states. And Gabe Valdez was really the leading researcher, or one of them certainly. And he ultimately concluded it was government, as have a lot of major researchers out there. And certainly I asked Dolly about it, and she's like, well, no, the ETs are not the ones doing this, which I had already come to that conclusion. It's a fear campaign. I'm concerned about it. To not consider this would, I think, be a mistake.
Right.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I just think it's a slippery slope when you involve aliens into, because, and okay, let's go back to a statement you made, Dolly, and I know some people will want to know, you stated that aliens aren't even here right now.
Correct. None of them are here. They cannot be in our solar system. Our solar system is going through an electromagnetic field right now. It's huge. It's a huge wave that we go through every 12,000 years. And it is affecting us. All our poles, all the planets in our solar system are changing their poles, including the sun. It's one of the reasons the sun's a little chaotic right now. All right. They cannot fly here. It is too dangerous for them to be here. They're not going to until that process finishes itself. What they're dealing with and we're dealing with is that we're willing to commit genocide because we don't want to do what ET offered for us to do, and that was evolve. The people on this planet who had power didn't want to give it up. They want to do it their way. They wanted to be given things. They wanted to trade in a way that is not mature, wholesome, moral, or otherwise. We've weaponized every single bit of technology we've ever created here or learned from them, weaponized it. This is not a joke. This is real. Okay? And it's unsustainable in my mind. You all have decisions to make, serious, critical ones. Get enough food and water. Do not let the government tell you to go into the city to be safe, because you won't be. Trust me, you will not be. Learn how to build yourself a hut somewhere that's away from all the electricity. So when that CME goes off, you got a safe place to be. Find a cave. Do whatever it takes. Learn how to camp out really, really bloody fast, and learn how to bring food and water with you. This is serious stuff. We only live here for a short time. You're alive for only so many years, and then you move on to something else. Everybody on this planet should have already figured that out, that time is short for everybody here, and that we come back to life in the third dimension over and over and over again, because we're learning, we're maturing, we're evolving. And this is a critical moment in our evolution. And yeah, you're here to learn this lesson. It's a big one. I also want to point something else out to you. If you remember history, the only reason that we got involved in World War II is because Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, and they allowed that to happen because the president at the time knew if we didn't, we would go do exactly what you're talking about now, not believe that this is all together and it's a big deal. Hitler was everywhere. So was Japan. They were losing their minds, and they were trying to commit genocide then. Please pay attention to this and what history tells you. If it smells like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and flaps like one, it pretty much really is one. And we're in the middle of unbelievable anarchy right now. And it is real and it is happening. Pay attention. You are not safe. Not at all. Your government is not here to protect you anymore. It changed a long time ago. You got taken over. And just so you know, they killed Kennedy for it. He knew what was going on then.
Yeah, and don't think of it as doom and gloom. Think of it as, truth hurts perhaps, but wouldn't you rather know what's going on? Our lifestyle has not been sustainable for a good 50 or 100 years. Ever since the modern age of UFOs began, when we started building a nuclear arsenal capable of destroying all life on this planet, that's when we became unsustainable. That's when people started being pulled on board. And if you take a very close look at the onboard experience, removing the fear, because there's a lot of fear surrounding this. you will see a very set pattern of events, and it's very encouraging.
All right, we're going to stop right there. We're going to go ahead and take a break at the top of the hour here with Preston, Dennett, Dolly Safran. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, jumping right back into the conversation.
On the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio. You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, we are off for 5 minutes off camera. So I'll go ahead.
All right, I want to say something. I could repeat it, but I want to say it to you directly right now. Please understand that I'm not just talking to the everyday person. I'm talking to people in the military as well. Greer is trying to do the same thing. Okay, Greer is absolutely trying to make us understand that we've got military people who will obey orders under any circumstances, and they need to critically think this one through. Okay,
let's save it.
Nephew.
We have to play this commercial.
Okay. All right.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Space Out Radio after hour number 2. We have about 15 seconds before we come back from radio break. And when we come back from the break, Dolly, then I'll lead you into finishing that thought.
Okay.
All right, here we go. 5 seconds. All right, everyone, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G, and our fantastic guests, Dolly Safran and Preston Dennett, having deep conversation tonight. That's what I do, and that's what I continue to do as always. We're going to continue doing that for the rest of the night. Don't you guys go anywhere. Also, if you missed any of the show, don't forget, you can hop in the archives at any time, youtube.com/@spacedoutradio. We will go ahead and get this thing back on track here, Dolly. You were making a statement during the break, and I wanted to make sure you were able to finish that. If you wouldn't mind going ahead and doing that.
Okay, I want to say two things. We are at a precipice. We're about to step off of it. Everybody is here. It has been well constructed. They've painted a picture that nobody is really sure what's going on. Everybody's in total confusion. That alone, all by itself, should warn you that something's about to happen. Everybody's been holding their breath for the last 3 weeks because they know something is about to happen. They are not going to let this president get in office without launching something, and it's not okay. This president coming in also knows this. We are ridiculously concerned with gossip and not truth. We're ridiculously concerned with who says what to who and why. And we speak for one another, over one another, without any forethought of what it is you're exactly putting into the record for everybody to hear, see, and feel. First of all, I want to mention something here. Dave is a good friend of Preston and I. Your show is your show, and Dave loves you, and you do run the reins on this show 100%. Dave knows what is going on with what I'm saying, and he has never tried to stop me from saying it because he knows that I am who I say I am. Preston, I have a question for you, outright. It needs to be answered. It was in chat. Do you believe that the ETs are here in any way, shape, or form, any faction of them at all?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because I have vetted your story thoroughly to the point where not only have I interviewed you for hundreds of hours. Here, let me make sure my mic is in front of me. But also, seeing the photographic evidence, the medical evidence, corroborating witnesses, seen the craft myself, and was taken on board. I had a fully on board UFO encounter, met Dolly's main contact, Mama. So this puts me in a really unique position to be able to trust what you're saying. So this, I understand that there are people out there who are going to disagree, and that's fine. But I think people deserve the opportunity to hear this information and make up their own mind about it. I did see something in chat, which I do want to comment on. It's like, how will meditation help? Right here is where it will help. Because through meditation, you will be able to basically develop your telepathic abilities, your intuition, and determine if a person is lying or not. And that includes everybody on this planet, from the world leaders all the way on down. And if everyone could do this, just think how quickly corruption and lying and greed and the unequal distribution of and all of this would be challenged. It matters a lot. So that's one thing I wanted to address. And another one is like, if ETs are here to help, why did they allow Hiroshima and Nagasaki to happen? And all the wars and all the evil that's going on our planet. And they have addressed this directly to most contactees who move past the fear and, have a conversation beyond don't be afraid, we won't hurt you. They've said very clearly to so many people, it's up to us to solve our own problems. If they had stepped in with Hiroshima, for example, would we have learned our lesson? Probably not. They're not here to take over. We don't want them to take over. They give us our free will to learn the lessons the hard way, just like every good parent does. And if you look, I'll say this again, the onboard experience and the messages they do give people, it's very encouraging. They're trying so hard to wake us up to the dangers of nuclear proliferation, one. War and aggression, another. Pollution and the destruction of the environment, another. Greed and corruption, that's another that comes up quite a bit. Also, developing our own psychic ability. It's no coincidence at all that most contactees have a wide variety of paranormal and psychic events. People need to take a really hard, close look at ET contact and their, quote, agenda, why they're here. So, yeah, that's my answer to that, Dolly. Sorry, I went off on a bit of a tangent.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
I don't expect people to believe, but please consider it.
Right.
Yeah, no, and here's the thing, and I'm glad you guys both had a chance to express that because, as I said before the break, we have tough conversations on this show, period. We just do. Sometimes people agree, sometimes people don't agree, but then we also have tough questions as well, because I feel like in a conversation, if it's open-minded on both sides of the conversation, that we could all learn something from each other. And it's all about positioning, right? And I think, and this is why I'm asking some of the questions as well, not to be combative. You know, I love you guys.
No, we know you.
We love you too.
We love you back. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm glad you do ask the questions you do. I mean, I told Preston before the show tonight that you were going to do that. You know, it's we get on shows where people just don't even know what they're saying to us, and I've never had that experience with you. You're fantastic, and I'm glad you think this all through. It is important for us to question everything, to look at all sides of all matters, to weigh the evidence, not hearsay or gossip, but actual truthful evidence against what is really going on, and discern for yourself what you need. It's all of us need to remember that it's how we react, not how the world is reacting, but how we're reacting to the world. And if most of us got this suddenly all at one time, the situations that we're going to face would probably likely not occur that the way they're intending for them to happen. And that's a reason for coming out and telling the truth, to give you a running start, a good chance, and a way to respond for you.
Yeah, we're not powerless. The people, the population is the biggest force, the strongest force on this planet.
No.
I mean, it's not the 1%ers, they're 1%. Well, they have done very well to put a stranglehold on progress, the spiritual progress, the psychic progress, financial progress on all humanity. We are still the most powerful force on this planet.
And we're still starving. We're still bankrupt. We're still, ill. We're still fighting one another and killing one another and acting like idiots and, we got to wake up to the fact that we need to stop. We just need to stop doing this stuff. We need to pay attention to what reality is really dictating to us and take a grip of it and push forward for ourselves by our own hands, not by somebody else telling you how to react. And that's an important thing. You all need to pay attention to that. Think critically to yourself. If you know a hard time is coming for your family, when you prepare for it, wouldn't you take away the risks if you could and actually assume that there's something you could do about it? That's all we're saying. That's all we're trying to do.
Another thing you can do is build the community around you.
Right.
Educate the people around you of this subject to the best of your ability. There are things we can do. We're not as powerless as we might feel.
Right.
So let me ask you this, I'm loving the conversation and the fact that this is the last time we'll talk for 2024. We're at the end of the year here. We saw everything happen leading up to what we just got finished talking about. What do you see for 2025? What is your outlook in the knowledge that you've gathered so far? And I'm a person that believes that the future can be indicated by things that happened in the past. So, just knowing what we know about what we know can help us kind of gauge what we think might happen in the
I've got some predictions for sure.
Either one of you can go on that. What do you think?
You're going to see the worldwide credit systems go down. We're going to lose our financial systems. That is coming. It will happen. You're going to see supply chains break to the point that famine and hunger are going to occur. You're going to see a war start. It might not be the global war that you think I'm envisioning for you, no war starts with a great big boom around the world. It starts with little fights that get more and more and more intense, and people start diving into it. We already have an entire generation of our children who are already poised for war. Do you not have people in your family where they're already in the theater for it? I have 3 nephews. One of them, thank God, is out now finally, but the other 2 are already in theater. I know plenty of other people in my family. You understand? We're already ready for war. Already ready. Pay attention to what your families and your friends are telling you. Ask them, where is everybody? What's going on? This is real. This is true. We have a country that is being forsaken right and left. We have people in North Carolina still have no homes, no way to warm themselves. People are having to bring food into them because our government didn't come in there and help them.
Homelessness went up 18%, I heard on the news.
Yes.
But I do think that there's going to be some good news. One thing I think we will see is more and more people becoming aware of the existence of UFOs. This subject is growing in popularity by leaps and bounds. And you can see this directly with Facebook groups, groups on Reddit doubling in size each month. I mean, the interest in this subject is growing so fast. And I think disclosure, while our governments are never willingly going to disclose, I don't think we'll ever have full truth and transparency with them. It's an inevitability that truth comes out. And I think they will be forced to play their hand more and more. And we're going to see some of this in 2025 with more congressional hearings, no doubt about it. Wouldn't surprise me one bit if our next president does make a statement, or someone, a head of state, that UFOs are real, which is a big deal. It really is, because this has not happened yet. And I think we're very close to it. And I also think we're going to see more evidence, like films, photos, maybe even a piece of metal. Don't think we're going to see the craft or the bodies, but I think that is good news.
I want to make a point.
Yeah, go ahead.
UFOs are craft. They are machines that are flown by ET. They're indwelt by beings that are so immensely evolved past us that they can actually spiritually indwell this craft from another dimension and come here. It is the people behind the craft that is the important part that we need to focus on. If you want to know who ET is, you got to quit seeing the UFO and see the actual people that are involved in this. And they are people. They are not evil. You can't get into this dimension or come here without being highly, highly evolved. And these people don't have avarice. These people don't have hate. They don't have harm. They've never come here to injure anybody here. They have not caused wars of their own. They have not destroyed us. We've only done that to ourselves. We're not looking at craft. We are looking at an entire group of people who are extremely evolved from us and have been trying for centuries over and over and over again to get you to see what you should be seeing and not the opposite. Okay? Now they're not here, so they can't really even defend themselves to you. The only people defending them now are people like me. And that's a hard job, trust me, because there aren't many of us. It is tough for me to make you see that it is not the beings that are visiting. It is us that are causing all our problems. And they have taught you to see ETs as a giant mechanized machine that is dangerous, and it is not.
They've been around forever. And people are still having, mental communication, telepathic communication with ETs. So there's still an information pipeline. And they do have the ability to remote view and even appear as orbs and apparitions and so forth.
Right.
But, I'm not getting the onboard experiences that I used to get over the last couple of years, which speaks to exactly what Dolly is saying.
Hell,
we're not seeing that with the phone wave.
Yeah, if you ask MUFON a direct question, and it would be this one: have experiencers dropped off? Have sightings dropped off? Real sightings, and they will tell you absolutely they've dropped off hugely. Over 88% dropped off.
There was an enormous spike in 2020. And that's when they started, fleeing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I hear that, and that's actually a great recommendation as well, because they would have the data, New Fork as well, on if that's the case to kind of validate that, because then you have people out here who swear what they're seeing in the skies, or not this New Jersey situation, but in general around the world, that they say they're still seeing UFOs,
Yeah,
and things
well,
of that nature.
you
Mhm.
also see a Starlink. You know that they just launched 22 satellites earlier today. They just put up 22 more Starlink satellites. Do you know how easy it is to misrepresent what that is? They don't even fly. They fly closer to the Earth than the sky, the ISS, okay? They're between the ISS and us. So it looks like they're lower in the atmosphere. Optics from them coming makes you really think you're looking at ETs. They do power ups their engines, rev every now and then to keep their orbits proper. And you think, oh, they're flaring for us. No, they're not. It's Skylink. Do you know how many satellites are above your head worldwide?
Oh yeah, there's definitely a
Okay,
lot.
you're covered, 100% covered. You're seeing stuff that we've put up, that we've manufactured. You're seeing our technology flying in the air right now, and it's everybody's hysterical about it. It's like it's become a trope where, oh, I saw something today, and everybody jumps on it without really vetting it for what it really is. And the government's not going to tell you the truth. They're going to let you think whatever the heck you want. That's what's the problem. They've not come up to the microphone and said, this is what it is for sure. Here's the proof. Nope.
Well, that's the problem. If the government's lips are moving, we know that they're not telling the truth. It's been 80 years of them doing this. So why would we even look to them for answers? Because their history on this is heinous. It's horrible. We cannot trust them. And I hate to say it, but it's just the God's honest truth. They have the cover-up is still in place.
Yeah,
I support organizations like MUFON. I do, because there's lovely people in there who are very intelligent. But there is not a UFO organization out there that doesn't have its problems. This subject is so controversial. It's so muddied up. It's so filled with disinformation that it's like I said in the beginning, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
Right. I also want to remind you of one thing else, okay? Because you're walking around without assuming something. And I find out that I've experienced this from every angle there is. I'll give you the first way I experienced it. When my daughter was in school, I drove a school bus because her bus got hit and she nearly got killed. And I went, nope. And I drove a school bus for 2 straight years to keep my daughter safe from crazy stuff going on. And that was how I dealt with it. Do you know how many kids sit on a school bus with cameras facing them fore and aft and don't remember that they're there and do idiotic, stupid stuff on the buses? All of them. It always happens worldwide. Okay. They conned me when I was in the Army to drive the school bus for a couple of weeks because one of the drivers got sick and he said, you're good at this. I want you to go drive the base school bus. Same thing. It's insane to me. All right. That's just one aspect of it. There are cameras everywhere now. There is no part of your life that you live anywhere without you being on some sort of camera, noticed, your GPS, all of it. You are now 100% watched. They know who you are. They can tell by your facial features. They've got all the technology. AI is in full control of that worldwide. They can see you from space. What about that don't you understand is them keeping an eye on you until they do what they're going to do? Do you really believe with that kind of technology that they couldn't give you close-up shots of ETs? They could, and they haven't. Every single craft that they've got in the air, all their pilots don't have just gun cameras. They have 7 or 8 on each one, and they have 1080p, full color, almost practically 3D ability to see what the heck they're looking at. Have they shown you that? No, they show you grainy, stupid pictures of what they want you to believe. So they
not to mention that the technology that we're seeing in the public arena is primitive compared to what our highest levels of military have.
Right.
Exactly. We can fly things around that are going to look like UFOs. And not only that, hologram it. Absolutely 100% convincing holograms that are not UFOs.
They're 3D. They're like really there. Yep. China plays with it all the time. It's all over the internet. I mean, I was in an auditorium where they brought this stuff in and showed the class that my daughter was in a whale coming up out of the floorboards in the bloody gym. And it looked real. Okay. they've been doing this. They've been showing you stuff that is not real, and
That's what they're showing us. I wonder about some of the lifelike robots that they're showing on TV. These people who can actually pass a Turing test pretty much. For the average person, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. This is what they're showing us in the public arena. That really makes me wonder what they're not showing us.
I also have a question. If I was in a city where drones were flying, those drones wouldn't be flying over my head. If you were over my property, you'd get a stick or an arrow into that drone so fast it wouldn't know what hit it.
People are trying.
Rocks, knock them down because you can. They're propellered. They make noise. Okay, you can hear them. Most of the stuff that they're putting on the internet has interrupted sound on it or some other sound dubbed into it. It is not real footage of ET. It is drones that we created. I can tell you the fastest way to know if an ET drone is doing it versus ours. Ours cannot do a 360-degree rollover at low speed. No drone that they have made is capable of doing that. ETs are fully anti-grav. And if you've ever witnessed it, which I have, you would know that it was ET. There would be no denying it at all. Go look at my website. I've put it up for you to see an actual ET doing a 360-degree rollover. That's a real drone for ET. And they are massively huge. And you can't tell because it's night. That's the other problem. Night optics are the worst optics because you cannot tell. You have no ability to see fore or aft, side to side. You can't make comparisons. So there's no way for you to look at something in the sky and go, well, that's 340 feet. You'd be wrong, dead wrong.
Ask any UFO researcher about that. Because when you interview someone, that you ask them, how high is this object? A good witness will say, I couldn't tell you for sure how high up it was or how large it is, because you need a frame of reference.
That's right.
One thing if you're looking at a jet, because we have a basic idea of how big a jet or a plane or a helicopter is.
Right.
These lights people are seeing in the sky and describing them as quite large. If you fly a party lantern, which is really small, and you set it aloft, and you can see reports of this all through the media, people will describe it as being 20, 30 feet across. It's not. A light in the sky looks much larger than it truly is.
Light actually amplifies itself. I want you to understand that there are a million things that I could say about what you're seeing that would try to get you to start thinking about what it is you're actually doing. I mean, if you can play detective and become a researcher yourself and understand that you can't just say that's what that is. You have to prove it one way or another to yourself first before you try to convince anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Okay. And so we're all out here going, no, it's this. I saw it. That's not proof. Not at all. It's just hearsay and gossiping rhetoric and misinformation and disinformation. You have to actually take the time and listen. We have binoculars that are like telescoping binoculars, night vision and stuff. Why don't you, load yourself up with some of this technology and use it to your advantage to see what it really is and figure it out for yourself while you're doing it. These are the kinds of things that we should be automatically going to instead of just believing what everybody's saying to you. Don't.
And I agree with that. And I see a lot of people actually doing that now, especially in the case that we're dealing with these things that are in the sky. They call them drones. I call them objects, but you have boots on the ground individuals who are out there commandeering ships and things to follow these things to wherever they're going to and coming from, which I think is awesome that a regular person would have the wherewithal to think about doing that. And we have a lot of investigators on the ground out there in the area, so that don't have anything to do with the government. So if there is anything strange tied to what's going on, I think we'll have it uncovered by one of them. But we're going to go ahead and take our final break of the night right here on Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G, Dolly Safran, and Preston Dennett. You guys, it's been awesome so far. We're going to see what happens in the last 30 minutes. Get your questions ready if you have them. I'll definitely be looking for those. And we'll see you right after the break, right here, Spaced Out Radio. All right, we are clear.
Yeah.
Tim
Do you
Jensen.
remember about 2 weeks ago where on live TV transmission, one of the drones in New Jersey went down and it caught fire. It blew up. Okay. Do you see it on the regular news? No. Do you think they suppressed that story big time? Yes, because they don't want you to know what type of drone it was. Okay. And so they made up the thing about sniffing for nuclear materials and stuff like that. Okay. Over that incident. We have to pay attention. I mean, really listen to what's going on. The main media is not going to tell you the truth about anything. The internet is probably your closest ally right now as far as who and where you go to look for things as they're happening live, especially because any of us can get on live. You realize that, right? As it's happening, you can set your phone to live and publish it. And that's how they got that one that crashed in New Jersey. But it's disappeared. I've gone looking for it. It's nowhere to be found now because they erased it. That's the heck of an internet that's also biased and hiding truth from people as well. It's getting crazier and crazier and crazier. I want to tell you that there are drones that are manned. You know, you can go buy a drone that you can fly like a car. All right. And they're for sale. They're very expensive, but they exist. The government has drones big enough for that as well. Okay. This is the governments have like 27 different types of drones that they fly. They don't all look like flying machines. They look like ET. Some of them are triangular, some of them are round. They have lights on them that can confuse you, especially at night.
They've had it for a long time too. I remember when drones entered the public arena, I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good for me. This is going to mess up, investigating UFOs. It's going to make it a lot more difficult. Then, of course, we started to see holograms. I'm like, oh, this is not good news either.
Yeah. I want to tell you a secret about Tyndall Air Force Base. Tyndall Air Force Base used to have about 2,000 drones on it. 2,000, more than that, actually. And when Hurricane Michael came, they flew them all out and took them to Wright-Patterson. Did you know that? Do you know that Tyndall has become, they had to rebuild the whole base because it flattened it. I mean, gone, okay? And for a while there, it was a U.S. Space Force port. And I don't know, I can't tell you right now if it's still designated that, but it was when I left Florida. Y'all have to start really, really, really paying attention to what's really going around with you. Start in your own hometown. Learn what bases are around you. Learn what's going on. Keep your ear to the floor. Pay attention to what people say to you, because that's going to give you a much better picture than hearing all the gossip on the internet and everybody flying around and saying stuff. It's not going to help you at all, because at home, that's where you live. That's where your life existence is. And trust me, everybody's involved in this. Everybody. It's not just New York, Jersey, or Pennsylvania, or Georgia, or Florida, or Arizona, or anywhere else. This is all occurring all at the same time everywhere. There are drones everywhere. It's not a joke. And every single base in our country has thousands of them and have had for quite a long time.
But how do you reconcile when a guy says he saw 150 feet off the ground, an object that is 40 feet by 40 feet? This is big.
I think that he's paradoxing things. Your mind, you're so afraid and so freaked out that you see and hear and feel things that are not exactly correct. You have to learn to be a good witness. And if you tell me that, I automatically question this witness' ability to see and hear and feel what exactly went correctly, truthfully on. That's the problem. There are people who make great witnesses because they actually calmly stare it down, write references, look for clues while they're looking at it. They don't just stare at it and focus only on that and only see that and blow it up bigger and bigger in their mind. Hysteria can make you...
And it's more than that, too. I mean, there is technology out there that will fool you.
Right.
Our government has stuff. And again, we mentioned it before. It's worth mentioning again. These holographic technology is off the charts, convincing.
Yeah.
If they wanted to. And this is, I think, a prediction for 2025, because this whole false flag has been talked about for 2, 3, 4 years now. And to see this whole drone wave, I hate that term drone, because when did that start becoming a thing? I am worried about it. If this is a beginning, if this is a dry run.
Yeah, arm yourself with something. You know, there's flashlights out there that can light up the night sky, okay? That you can get 250 feet of pure light onto something. And if you point up at a drone, you're going to see that drone for what it really is. It can no longer use its own light to mask itself from you because you're shining a military grade light onto it to see what it really is. You know, you can buy them on the bloody internet. Go get one for yourself and start proving what you're looking at that way. Okay? We have them. You bet if I see something, my butt's got my high-powered flashlight out and I'm looking at it with that. There is no way that I'm going to believe anything I see in the dark without shining some kind of light on it or some way of identifying it for what it really is. That's the attitude that we all need to walk around with right now. Literally.
Awesome. Here we go. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio after hour 1.5. We're on the back half of hour number 2. Means we only have about 20 minutes left with our guest, Dolly Safran, Preston, Dennett, in the building. We do appreciate them coming through. It's been an awesome conversation. If you missed any of it, once again, you can jump in the archives. They're absolutely free, youtube.com/@spacedoutradio. As we go ahead and get ready to jump into, I know I've seen at least a question or two that came through here, and I'll go ahead and grab one real quick. Miss Catherine Jones is asking, are the car-sized drones controlled by the public? Do you think?
Some are, yes. And some are strictly military. There are people who are wealthy enough to own those things and are out playing around in them. You bet.
Okay.
Yeah, the military drones are far more agile and can move at very high speeds than a lot of people would think. If you look it up, you can verify this yourself.
I want to give you a technology lesson really quick. You all know what a Raptor 22 is, right? The technology on those engines is so specific, and it's a prototype for a type of craft that they want to escape our atmosphere with, to fly up into and escape. And that's the first type of prototype of that engine. A Raptor, an R22, can hit Mach 4 without even blinking an eye. Do you understand how fast that is? It can actually go as fast as almost 7,000 miles an hour. Mach 4, once you hit Mach 4, you're actually speeding up and going past the speed of sound at Mach 4, which means you're traveling almost 6,000 miles an hour. You can go bloody fast in them. They have unbelievable abilities with this craft, with this aircraft that they're flying. They can move halfway across the planet in a couple of hours, sort of like, the Concords, only it's better technology. Concorde technology is nothing compared to what the Raptors are flying around with in their tailpipes. You have to understand that they've been working on this longer than you realize, that they've created wings, they've created triangles, they've created rectangles that have some anti-grav ability, but they mostly can hit unbelievable amounts of air. You know what a Harrier is? A Harrier is a very example of how to maintain flight level above a craft, a ship coming down in a jet where it's trying to angle and set it down. The Harrier technology has evolved 10,000 times more than it already was. You're seeing Harrier things in the sky that you can't even explain because they won't let you know that they have it and they're utilizing it. Our technology, our government's technology is way off the charts because of back engineering. And y'all have to sit and critically go through your head with this. ET can do one thing that they cannot do. They can go from the ground straight up out of our atmosphere into dead space at faster than Mach 9 with nothing to impede it. Nothing. They can do that. Nothing we have is capable of doing that at all. When was the last time you saw a light go up in the sky like that, or one come down like that at Mach 9 and stop 500 feet above the ground? Okay. This is ET. ET can, when you're, the easiest thing I can tell you is when I'm on craft and I can accelerate, I will usually go from 0 to 27,000 feet per second. That is more than Mach 9. And you wouldn't even be able to keep your eyes on me. I would move out that fast. And I could slide across you and you never see me go by. Never. If ET doesn't want to be seen, they're not seen. They're not here, so they're really not seen. But the stuff that you're seeing in the sky is too slow. ET's faster than that, and you're believing that it's ET, and it's driving me crazy. Y'all need to stop doing that. This is our technology, not theirs.
And I think, wouldn't you say that by always looking at the government as far as the capabilities we have as human beings to recreate anti-gravity or reverse engineer, we just assume that they have the ability to do that, and we haven't seen any proof of it, right? We haven't seen any proof that they brought out that shows that
there's a lot of whistleblowers.
Yeah. There are whistleblowers. Michael Sherratt can give you a big lesson about that.
I've talked to some myself.
Yeah.
Firsthand, a guy was on his deathbed and contacted me because he couldn't find anyone else who would listen to his story. And he was a subcontractor at Edwards Air Force Base and saw a UFO and asked his employer, what is this thing? And his employer wouldn't tell him until circumstances changed where he needed this guy again real badly. And he said, I'm not working for you unless you tell me what we saw. He said it wasn't a UFO. This was reverse engineered from ET technology. But what he described was a mirror-like silver craft about the size of a little Toyota car, no portholes, nothing. Used a system of counter-rotating magnetic propulsion. It was absolutely would have fooled anyone that it was a genuine UFO. I do think we have this. So many whistleblowers. It's not just Bob Lazar. It's not just Rush or Elizondo or any of these people.
You haven't lived until you've seen a B-52 coming in for a landing with one of their technological UFOs flying above it, okay? Giving it support with 2 F-18 fighters on each side of it coming down to land with it. This is the kind of stuff that a lot of people have seen. A lot of people in the military.
Well, look at the Cash Landrum case of 1981. Most researchers agree that that was very likely reverse engineered. And that thing was floating along and burned the heck out of poor Betty Cash and, Colby Landrum and Vicki Landrum.
Yeah, we don't have a real good grasp on what radiation is occurring while you're using nuclear technology. ET doesn't use the type of nuclear technology that they would force you to be anywhere near. That's why they drop into the ocean to cool off, and they go to batteries instead of nuclear when they come into our atmosphere, because they know good and damn well it's going to hurt you if they employ it at that time. It is amazing to me that the things that y'all don't understand or know, or the science behind half of it, most of us get through when I was in high school, we had guys, I went to a special high school, and we were all college preparatory. A lot of them wanted to be pilots or mechanics, engine mechanics for NASA and stuff like that. So they were actually working on this stuff, okay, way back in the 70s. They went into the system, and you lose track of them because now they can't talk to you anymore about what they know, what they see, or what they've been building or designing, engineering. And it's sad to me because these people are under NDAs. They've been threatened by the government that they could either do hard time or their family's going to disappear. And it's mafioso techniques, you bet. And it's sad to me that we have a lot of people. I mean, you think about the numbers of people in this country who have served their country and can't tell you a thing, because they've kept you gagged for it and threatened your life or your family's life for it. That's how they keep the secret. That's how they keep you from knowing the truth. And at the same time, you're not going to school to learn all this stuff anymore. It's totally vacant they're getting you to focus on anything but the sciences, anything but technology.
We know the media is controlled. I mean, this is not speculation. We know this. Read the book by, I never can remember his first name. His last name is Hansen. It's called The Missing Times. It's a shocker to read how much UFO information is actually suppressed from the public. And let's face it, the cover-up is leaking like a sieve. It hasn't worked very well because there's just too much truth out there. Thank God. But it's still in place. It's firmly in place. You know how we know this? We have yet to hear one single peep from Congress or anybody within government about contactees. People having direct contact, people being taken on board. They'll talk about sightings, they'll talk about drones, they'll even talk about crashed craft, but I don't think we'll ever see a contactee being interviewed by the members of Congress. I wonder why.
We talked earlier about, the whole espionage part of this, right? So here's my just going through logical thought processes here. So when I look at this, I look at the fact that if we are to assume that the government has reverse engineered and has these capabilities, we're not seeing that with what we're seeing here as far as the drones go. I actually have a source with NASA that works, a close person in my life that works with NASA aeronautics, and they're actually doing I can't even, he's gonna kill me for even trying to explain this, but
Don't even. Yeah.
he's doing the air traffic control for drones.
Yeah, that's right.
So what he told me is that these are not drones in any by any standard that they have as far as what they're working with over at NASA. So I mean, that's just what he said. But then with the whistleblowers, right, you have Bob Lazar, who we point to. Everybody, I believe Bob Lazar, a lot of people do. He says that we had not figured out the technology. He's even said as recent as 2016. Then you have Lukatsky, who was on the show with Weaponized about a year or so ago, and he stated we just now barely breached the hull of one of these craft. So I mean, I'm just saying there's different stories.
So highly compartmentalized.
Right.
The president apparently is not in the loop. That says a lot.
The Pentagon is the problem. Okay, when Eisenhower became president, everybody forgot that he was a general. Okay, and he thought like a general, and he behaved like a general, and he did what the general does. And the Pentagon was his puppy. Okay, and he started working things out so that the Pentagon became the actual jaws of how we survive around here and how our governments operate. That's why there is an alt way to pay for things. That's why we're trillions and trillions of dollars in debt, because under the surface, we're paying for stuff that we have no idea exists. That's horrific. Ask Michael Sherratt. He knows this stuff better than anybody. You need to bring him on your show, honestly. Okay. I know him well. I'm even going to mention you to him.
Send them over. Yeah, I would love to.
He's one of my favorite researchers out there. He's a real boots on the ground, facts only.
He's a very good researcher. Yes. We have to understand that our government is a front for a Pentagon-run DOD. That's who's running our governments, period.
And the corporations, too.
Yeah, well,
corporations. I saw a comment in there, and that's absolutely true. It's not the governments who are doing these drones. It's the highest levels of the military, it's the intelligence agencies, and it's this military-industrial complex. This is why the Freedom of Information Act doesn't work, because can't sue corporations to get the truth from them.
Yeah, that happened a long time ago. Corporation became a live entity.
Corporate personhood. We should never have done that.
No, we should never have been allowed. That happened in the 60s, y'all.
Let me get to this. We have about 10 minutes before we wrap it up here. Hillbilly Herb wants to know when were ET last here, if it had already been spoken to?
About August of 2022. The last of them left.
All right. And to go off of that, is that all species of ETs or just a particular species?
Okay, first of all, there's no such thing as species. We live on a planet where we have different species. Other than human, we have dogs, cats, things like that. ET are human, like we are. They just look different. They have different ethnicities, like we do among humans. There is no race here. You've been believed into that. It's not true. There's one race, the human race, Homo sapiens sapien. ETs are Homo sapien and a little bit of something else. They're older than us. They're our progenitors. We are related to them. So there is one total race, understand me, genetically related to us, of ET. They might look different. They might have different ethnicities, but they are all the same like we are. They are all one in their minds, and we should understand that we are as well. And their favorite thing to say to us is, we are you, you are us, and we are all one.
I've heard that so many times. We all share a common heritage.
Keep it.
This is what they tell contactees.
That's right. So right now, there are no ETs. When I say no ET, I mean all of them. The entire ethnic group of them are gone. They are not in our solar system. They're not going to be in our solar system because they got stuff going on throughout our galaxy, as a matter of fact, because this electromagnetic current wave sheet that we're going through. Because it's not just us here in our galaxy arm. It's everybody in front of us or behind us in path of this stupid thing. And they're dealing with it all the way across. They're also been dealing with the fact that we have Andromeda coming at us. And you realize that the entire galaxy is going to go down when Andromeda hits. The entire galaxy. And they've lied to you about that. It's not 2.4 million years away. It's probably around 38,000 years. We're already connecting magnetically to one another. And the more that magnetism increases, the faster we're going to pull into one another. And Andromeda is way bigger than us, and it's going to destroy our entire galaxy. So they're bugging out that way too. And they have been for years doing that. We need to wake up to what the truth is about us and them. That's all. And they are our progenitors, and they are watching over us and waiting for us to grow up, smell the coffee, and evolve so that they can have a full-on conversation with us about all of this. You can't talk to them if you can't hear them, and you can't hear them if you're not using what you were born with to hear them with.
Yeah. Don't look to our government for answers. Look to the contactees. Yeah. And you have to discern and vet each one carefully, because there's a lot of misinformation. My labs is a real big problem in this field.
Yeah.
Military abduction.
I know.
I mean, this is a real, honest to God problem. It's this ET threat narrative that is being put forth. Long before I met Dolly, I realized this is not being portrayed accurately in the media at all. And when Dolly decided to go public, she's looking for someone to tell her story and couldn't find anybody.
Nope.
And they gave her my name, which made me feel, I'm like, wow, because this has happened before and it happened since. I've had ET refer people to me, and I'm just putting that out there because this has happened. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is how bad the disinformation is in this field. There are researchers out there who are not researchers. I'll put them in quotes, and I won't name them, but I think if you do your research, you can see who's pushing a fear narrative and who's not, and who's pushing in it for the money,
right.
In it because they're,
Yeah, if you're worried about how much money you're making with this, you're in the wrong place. ET doesn't care about that at all, No ETs come here and tried to make money off us. They've never tried to steal our resources because they have plenty throughout the entire universe. They don't need us for that, okay? We're in a classroom here, and they know it, and we know it, or we should. And my favorite thing to say, and it's not cruel or anything, I just want you to understand the reality of this. Please don't die stupid. Please do not go on into the next existence without knowing what the heck you're facing here and understanding what it really is,
Let me ask you this, because I interviewed since we last all talked, interviewed a gentleman by the name of Reed Summers, and he has a really awesome different perspective on how to look at this and what is maybe potentially is the intent of extraterrestrials. If you guys haven't seen him, he has an awesome YouTube channel. You guys should go check him out and just see what his state of mind is. But he had brought up this, during our conversation, we came to a point to where it was brought up that are we even really sure that we aren't being manipulated by extraterrestrials when it comes to the things that they tell us? Could they be telling us things and misleading us? And why would that not be the case that they would do something like that? Why wouldn't they, being smarter than us, seeing an opportunity to take advantage of a situation, why wouldn't they also take advantage of human beings in the way that we think?
Because that is a very human thing to think. When you are evolved, you are morally evolved. You are conceptually able to understand the difference between right and wrong, good and evil, help and no help. And this is a bunch of people who have never done anything to us to lie to us in any way, shape, or form. They've only left tons of examples about why we need to pay attention to what goes on this planet in our solar system. They've only left us tons of people who are up here talking about the real issues with us in regards to them. quite frankly, I would never describe anybody that's billion of years in advance of us as evil or doing stupid stuff. We're the only ones capable of that. We're the only ones capable of thinking that. Sorry. It's a very immature, dumb, stinking thinking way to think about humanity and us and even them. And that is not okay. Not at all.
You know, sometimes you don't realize that you're being manipulated until you find out the truth. You know what I
That's
mean?
my point here. Absolutely. You just made my point for me. You're being manipulated and you don't even realize it. And that's why you need to wake up.
This is why I think we need to look at the contactees who are, have overcome fear. Look at the research of Barbara Lamb. I love her work. I think John Mack did a real good job. Edith Fiore. There's a number of really good researchers out there who aren't pushing a narrative, who are just reporting the facts as we know them. And I think we have figured out what the ET agenda is to a very large extent. And I can tell you that my own cases certainly support this, and so do many other researchers. One is healing. And I've got a book, 300 plus cases, coming from pretty much every major researcher out there, that proves in black and white undeniably that healing is a part of the contact experience. This is a very positive thing. And beyond that, it's educating people. We know this to be true because people are taken down into the engine room and told very clearly how they power the craft, how to fly the craft. They will actually put you in the pilot seat. This is what Dolly's whole contact is about, largely. But they will give you warnings. As I've said it before, but we need to understand that this is why people are being contacted. Warnings against nuclear proliferation, war, greed, aggression, pollution, destruction of the environment. This is the ET agenda. We know this because there are thousands upon thousands of cases on record. We know
I'll
this.
also give you example A of a contactee who died at the hands of the government, making sure that he didn't leave here with any sort of thing that he was gifted by ET with. And we're talking about Tesla right now. Tesla left thousands of things that could have helped us. And the government scooped it up and he died broken. His last words were, "It didn't do a doggone bit of good," what he learned from them. This is sad. This is truly sad. This is how corrupt the governments of this world are in what they're willing to go through and do to keep you from evolving,
Yeah, deep stuff. I mean, like I say, these conversations get deep, and I love it. I'm just,
do your research. People need to, don't take anyone's word. Certainly don't take mine. That would be my advice. Do your own research.
Absolutely. Don't take a dang on thing I say without researching it first. Okay. You need to convince yourself of what the truth really is, not what gossip is, misinformation or disinformation or what everybody's hysterically talking about. Quit doing that. Quit being henny penny running around going, the sky is falling. Think. Work
I hate when people said, prove it to me, change my mind. It's like, what? You want me to change your mind?
I can't fix it.
I'll lead your life for you if you want. I'll tell you everything to do. But do you really want that? Right. No. We have free will. We all have the right to live our lives autonomously.
That's right. And one of ET's absolute messages to me to give to you all is this: know all that is knowable, and then proceed in your lives. You do not make a move forward or believe anything or anyone without you understanding first. Knowledge is empirical data that's employable, not gossip, not belief, absolute knowing. And that's where you need to be. And that's what they want you to do, period.
I'm glad you did that, because I was going to ask you to leave us with the last note there, Dolly. And how about you, Preston? You got about 15 seconds.
Don't believe the governments. Use your own power of discernment. Let love and truth guide your actions. Do your best to develop your psychic abilities, and remember, we're eternal beings. We live forever.
Yep. And where can they find you, real quick?
I'm easy to find on social media, PrestonDennett.weebly.com. Dolly and I do a podcast each Monday evening. I popped Dolly's YouTube address in chat, so you can find it there. Yeah, I'm all over social media. Just punch my name. I'm easy to find.
All right. Well, thank you so much, you guys. It's been an awesome conversation. I loved it. They loved it. We'll do it again soon. I'll talk to you guys soon. You have a great new year. And
Happy New Year, everybody.
and embrace
Conversations
it.
that
Man.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
That move the needle.
You're listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio. You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, guys, we'll be going to break right now. See you in just a minute. All right, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio After Hour number 3. Me, your host, Mr. Rob G. I want to thank Dolly Safran and Preston Dennett for being awesome guests. We're getting into After Hour number 3 right now. And just before we come back, we got 10 seconds. Mr. Melted, salute to the Maple. We don't do the H word here on the After Hours Radio Show. It's America. Here we go. All right, everybody, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. This is After Hour number 3, the final hour. We're going to get in some really good stuff. We got Steve Stockton coming up, Missing Person Mystery Tales Untold. We have Drew Banky with After Hours Wrap Up. And once again, I wanted to thank our guest, Dolly Safran and Preston Dennett, for coming on in and having an awesome conversation. Tough conversations have to be had in this field, and that's what we're doing here. So let's go ahead and jump right on in to Steve Stockton, Tales Untold, Missing Person Mysteries.
Welcome to Tales Untold and Missing Persons Mysteries on Spaced Out Radio's After Hours. My name is Steve Stockton, and I'm here to take you on a journey of mysteries, legends, and true stories. Come, join me on this strange adventure of Tales Untold and Missing Person Mysteries. Strange experience in Starved Rock State Park, Illinois. I had a very strange experience 12 years ago in Starved Rock State Park, Illinois. It was so bizarre at the time, I never discussed it. I began reading the Missing 411 stories a few weeks ago and realized what I encountered fits into the Missing 411 profile. Additionally, since many of the Missing 411 stories border on the unexplainable and bizarre, I feel what I encountered was not unique, that it was part of an actual phenomenon. Here's my story. I was visiting my girlfriend in Chicago. On a sunny and calm winter day, we decided to go for a hike at Starved Rock State Park. I'm an avid hiker, and being on leave from Iraq, I wanted to take in some cool, fresh air. We hiked the park for several hours. In late afternoon, we started heading back to the car. About a half mile away from the parking lot, we came into an area where tree branches were broken and pulled towards or over the trail. Most of the branches were broken high up, I'd say 8 feet and more off the ground. I lived in Washington State before going to Iraq and knew something of Sasquatch areas. So I told the girlfriend it looked like a Squatch area due to the branches broken off up high and pulled over the trail. That's about the time things started to get strange. Soon after mentioning this, I felt like someone was staring at me. It's like if you go in a room with a lot of people and someone is focused on you, you get an uneasy feeling and can tell you're being watched. It was like this, but stronger. I started to look around to see who was watching me. It was winter and the forest was visible hundreds of feet in all directions. There was a group of walkers several hundred feet behind us and no one in front of us, but I saw no one staring at me. As we passed through the Squatch area, I began to have the feeling someone was behind me, following us. I looked around and listened, but saw and heard nothing. There was just people 400 feet or so back on the trail, and they were talking amongst themselves. They weren't looking our way. The sense of someone being behind me was persistent, so I kept looking behind me, I'd say at least twice a minute. But there was just a group way back there. The feeling of being watched is one thing, but feeling like someone is close behind you is something else. It is more disturbing. I told the girlfriend to go further in front of me and let her go about 20 feet in front because I had a strong sensation of a nearby presence just behind us. So I turned around not more than 30 seconds since the last time I looked back, and there's this woman there. She was walking, but coming up on me fast. There was something way off about her speed. She was walking when I spotted her, but her speed was much faster than her gait. It was as if she were on a people mover escalator like in an airport. She was coming up fast and was, I'd say, no more than 15 or 20 feet behind me when I saw her. I was rather alarmed and glared at her. She stopped when our eyes met. I gave her a look like, WTF are you doing coming upon me like that? We stood there staring at each other. Neither of us moved. She had her head cocked back to her left and looked at me from the corner of her eyes in a slightly alarmed, you caught me type of look. She was completely normal looking, like a local Chicago lady, late 50s, wearing a bright red winter coat, gloves, slacks, etc. In hindsight, there are a few other things besides her speed which stand out. The first thing is there was no sound, no footsteps, no rustling in the woods, nothing to tell me to turn around other than the strong sense of something behind me, which I'd had for a bit. At the speed she was moving, she would have had to have been running hard, but I heard no footsteps. She was not breathing hard and her mouth was closed. Her gait was a walking gait. She was not running. However, she was moving towards me at a running speed. I mean, fast. When she stopped, I'd say she was less than 20 feet from me. At the speed she was moving, in 1 or 2 seconds, she'd have been on me. The next thing that stands out is her features. She had no distinguishing features. None in her hair, skin, or clothing. No shadowing or skin hues, dimples, etc. As a former Army criminal investigator, I know to look for distinctive markings on people and clothing. There were none. I'd estimate her height at 5 foot 10 inches. Her clothes were of uniform coloring and indistinct. It was like she just stepped out of a department store. Her bright red coat was pristine with a uniform hue to it. There wasn't even shading, which there should have been given the clear sky and low sun. After staring at each other for, I'd say, 5 to 10 seconds, I felt like I got my point across, so I turned around and continued walking. The girlfriend had not noticed anything and had continued walking. I took about 3 steps and realized there was no way she could have come up from that group in the 30 or so seconds since I'd last looked back. There was also nowhere to come from on either side. Visibility at that point was hundreds of feet all around. I said to myself, no way, and spun back around. She was gone, simply vanished. I checked the group behind us and no one had a red coat on or was looking at us. There was no one else around, and there had been no sounds other than my footfalls. The woman just vanished. From that point, it took us about 10 minutes to reach the car. For the remainder of the walk, I did not feel like I was being stared at or followed. I've never been back to Starved Rock State Park and have no intention of going back. The whole thing was bizarre. How was I supposed to tell anyone about that? So I never have. My mental state was fine. I have a high IQ and a 20-year career in a STEM field following Army service. At the time, I was working a DoD IT contract in Iraq. I was well rested and relaxed, being on vacation with a girlfriend. There were no drugs or alcohol involved. These are strictly prohibited in my line of work and were grounds for immediate termination under MNFI's GO1, which I was subject to at the time. I've carried this experience around for 12 plus years, being unable to talk about it because it was so exceptional and unexplainable. It's a relief to read similar stories of unusual encounters and disappearances. After reading many missing 411 accounts and the profile of disappearances, I believe I narrowly averted being snatched by whatever that thing was. I do not think it was the woman I saw. I think it was something different which I could not see. Thank you, Anonymous. Eerie footsteps behind us. When I was around 12 years old, my girlfriend and I went with my parents to an isolated cabin that was only accessible by boat in northern Ontario, Canada. near my dad's reservation called Serpent River. Anyway, my brother was swimming in the lake, so my girlfriend and I decided to hike up a hill that ended up being quite steep with cedar trees all around us. So as we were making our way up, we decided to sit down and take a rest as the ground was covered in cedar needles and quite comfortable. As we were sitting there, we were chatting because we could see my brother swimming in the lake. From quite up high on the hill we climbed, then all of a sudden the ground was shaking underneath our butts like something so heavy was running behind us. It scared the daylights out of both of us, and we hightailed it down that hill. We did look behind us, but we could only feel it and could not see anything. To this day, I've always wondered what it could be. We thought the only possible thing that could make the ground vibrate like that might be a moose. But then again, I just couldn't see how or why a moose would be so high up on a hillside with rocks and cedar trees. It still perplexes me to this day. Anonymous.
All right, and that is Steve Stockton tells Untold Missing Person Mysteries right here on the After Hours Radio Show. We're so glad to have Steve Stockton, a man who could read the opening credits to your favorite show and have you in suspense. We're so glad to have him as a part of this show, and we will have him every single weekend right here on the Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. So without further delay, we're going to go ahead and jump into our After Hours wrap up with none other than our guy. You know who he is. Say his name. Drew Banky.
You're an irredeemable monster!
Come here, I'm gonna eat you! Get in my belly!
Kick him in the nard! He doesn't have nard! Do it! That man's got nard!
What's up?
All right, Drew Banky coming in with the After Hours wrap up. What's going on, man? How you been?
What's up? What's up? Just great, man. You know, smoked a turkey for Christmas, ate on Christmas Eve, and then, you know, kids had presents and stuff. Was up on Christmas Eve till 1 o'clock in the morning putting this, like the small little kitchen together, you know, like a little model toy kitchen for the kids. It's crazy. It was up here. So this was Santa's workshop. So this is the only place to get any privacy from the house. So the kids didn't find out what was going on. So this is where I was up building all that stuff until the early hours. It's crazy. How was your holidays, man?
You know, they were great, actually. I got to see some snow, which I don't never ever get to see. So that was awesome. Within reaching distance, I could reach out and touch it. So that was pretty cool. Being around a lot of family I haven't seen all year, that was pretty awesome. Also, got a couple, you know, cool little presents myself too. I mean, you know, I wasn't really looking for gifts per se, but I did get something that's very useful to me, and it's some people would laugh at it, but it's a power bank. It's an actual portable power bank, which for me is amazing because I'm always on an electronic device all the time, and this huge power bank will last me throughout the day. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I got something cool too. And we're using it right now as we speak. That's what it is. Starlink.
Ah, nice. Yeah, I think you did mention that, man. That is awesome. You got to let me know how that turns out too, because I was thinking about looking into Starlink as well.
Yeah, it's good. We got one router in the house, and it's reaching all the way out here. So we did have T-Mobile, and it had like two routers. So one out here in the office studio cabin area, and one in the house. So now this one router reaches all the way out here, and it's running faster than the router that was here that was right underneath the desk. So that's good.
What type of upload speeds are you getting? Do you know offhand? If not,
anywhere from 200 to over 400 millibytes per second.
Downloads? How about uploads? Do you know?
I don't know. There's a whole app that goes with it. So yeah.
Yeah, when you
Yeah.
find out, just let me know, because the upload speeds are the more important for me. But I guess if you're broadcasting right now on it, the upload speeds are enough to support the
Sure.
streaming. So you're at least 10, I would say, or more.
Yeah. And you can also, not to get too geeked out on it, but you can also get like boosters. So I'm going to get a booster for out here, and you can go up to 3 kilometers from the main router, the main Starlink router. It's designed to be able to go that far with a booster. So I'm going to get a booster out here and hook up directly and stuff eventually. So, which only extra $100. So
Yeah. Now
anyway,
here,
man, what an episode! It was a heated episode in the chat that I saw.
Get to pay attention. So I'm glad you did. Definitely.
Yeah, it's some of the stuff they were talking about. I don't agree with it all. What they were talking about, a lot of it I do. The point of being prepared and stuff like that. I think we're gonna go through a trying time, within the next couple of years. And I think we need to be more self-reliant. I will say that. Like, I think that's a big message that comes forward. And, Preston hit on it at the beginning of the episode, which caught my attention. He's talking about people that are drawn to off-gridding and get that message to be more prepared and more self-reliant.
Mhm.
I think that's a blanket message that goes to a lot of experiencers and things like that. So like I said, I do agree with a lot of stuff. I don't think, from my opinion, I don't think it's going to be as bad as as it was put out, or was how it was presented, at least. But yeah, I always love to hear Preston and Dolly's input. I value their input immensely, and this is what we need. We need to talk about it, and we also need to be able to have conversations that we might not agree upon and have them in a respectful manner. So I do give hats off to the chat, most of the chat, for how it was handled. So yeah, what's your thoughts on it?
It's the name of my game, man. I love tough conversations and the ones that get you going like that, because I think that's healthy. It's healthy to have that. And like you said, as long as you're not taking it too far in the chat, then it's I think you come out of the other side of it with either you agreed, you didn't agree, and maybe you had your own perspective on this, but at least you got your mind going. And that's the whole thing that I love about it, and having those conversations. And they know it's all in love. They know that I have love for both of them. And but you will have people out there who will want to have tough questions asked, or opposing, and not just going with the narrative, right? Because I still think at the end of the day, and we all agreed on this at the end, is that we don't know everything. And you should do your own research and go find things out on your own. And we're just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing with sticks, sort of thing, right?
Exactly. And ultimately, this is all part of we all can agree upon that we're here for lessons. We're here to learn lessons, and this is it. This is how we learn lessons. We come together and we have conversations, and we shoot ideas back and forth, and on things. There's some things that I hold near and dear to my heart as truths because of my experiences, but that doesn't mean that I'm not open to hear other people's experiences, and I'm not set on all my beliefs. My beliefs evolve over time. They evolve from the beginning, from my first ayahuasca experience, seeing what I perceived as past lives. Now I see it more as dimensional fields, or vibrational fields, or vibrational frequency points, or something like that, or multidimensionality. It's just how we evolve. We're evolving, and that means our thoughts are evolved, our ideas are evolve. So that's what we need to keep in mind. And we're gonna meet people that have different opinions. I believe aliens are here. I believe they've always been here. I believe we are the aliens. I believe it's all intermingled. I believe angels and all that stuff are, some would consider aliens. ET, it depends on your definition of such. So everybody's perspective is valid, and we just need to honor everybody's perspective, because Preston has done a lot of work. He's wrote tons of books. Dolly's done tons of work. We need to respect that too. And we don't have to believe them. I think they ended it in a very great way that, like we all do, whenever I do a long interview, I always end it with that, don't listen to me. Don't take my word for the word of God or anything like that. Go out and experience it yourself. Cause that's how you're going to learn. You're going to have your own experience, and that's how you're going to learn.
And here's what I like about the whole thing. As I've said many times before, being able to have the conversation to start with requires both sides of the conversation to come in with an open mindset, and just be open to the mindset. Have your mindset open to the possibilities of the things that are being talked about. Something is, it's just. And I think we saw some of that, like you mentioned in the chat, which had been some of the more closed-minded individuals who just didn't really want to just at least hear it out, right? Hear it out, then go home and think whatever you want to think afterwards. It's just hearing it out, because some of the things that everyone said made sense, right? And you can pick the things that made sense to you and take those nuggets and put it towards, your thought process. And, it's just, I'm always glad to do this. And anything that moves the needle, as we say here, is always a great day at the office for me. Yeah. So I'm feeling really good about tonight's conversation.
Yeah, it was great. It was, anytime you have a conversation with Preston, this is maybe the third time I've been part of an interview with Preston. So it's, anytime it's always eye-opening, and you can, his overall message and Dolly's overall message, I totally agree with, that if it's bona fide ET, they're here really more to help and everything. Anything that I think that was the overall message. Like anything that's going on down here on the ground, especially with these drones and stuff like that here lately, is all man-made. Tend to believe that, I'm still haven't, still haven't settled in either camp, but I tend to believe that a little bit, because any experience I've ever had with ET as a higher consciousness and just a really super positive message and that. So anything negative that we're going to experience here is ultimately a lesson we're going through as a human race. And I think that's what I pulled from the conversation more than anything, and that's what the vibe I always get from both of them. And, that's what I go with, so.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's always great to be able to engage, someone like a Preston Dennett, being that he's researched so much stuff, has written 1,000 books. And I'm just, I'm ready for the next one. They mentioned someone who I have on my list, who's Michael Schratt. I'd love to get Michael Schratt on here. I'd love to get Steve Bassett on here. I'd love to there's a few that I know immediately are going to be awesome conversations. Also, we talked about, I brought up during our conversation, Reed Summers. Because if you remember the interview from a couple months ago, Reed was awesome. And Reed will be right back here next weekend. So we are going to continue an awesome conversation. It's just going to be great. Tomorrow night we have Josh Rutledge here, who was on the panel with us a couple weeks back. So that's going to be great as well. We're going to go down the cryptid route. So it's a lot of great stuff that we have in the pipeline coming up here on Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. And here's the call to action real quick, because we got about 45 seconds till break here. I would love to have anyone out there listening on terrestrial radio, digital platforms, YouTube, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Let us know who you want to see on the show. Someone who can engage in that sort of conversation that moves the needle. Let me know, and I'll go right after that person, and we'll make sure that we get that person right here on the show, because those are the conversations that matter, the ones that are going to get us to that next step, or at least walk away with the understanding more than we had when we walked into the show. And that's how you know you had a great day at the office, when that happens. You were saying something here?
I got a doozy, man. Matthew James Bailey. You know, he's going to be coming on. We've talked to him and everything. We just have to set a date, but that's going to be a great conversation, man.
Let's talk about that. We got about 10 seconds here. I'm not familiar with the name offhand, but I would love to figure out exactly who that is. So, yeah, you guys, it's been an awesome show so far. Don't go anywhere. We only got like a half hour left here as it is. So you guys kick on back right here, Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. Me, your host, Mr. Rob G, and the man right there, Mr. Drew Banky in the building. You guys don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this break. Clear. We're good. Yeah. So it's been, holidays were great, man. And then just having a break period, right? Just being able to kick back and not do much, you know what I mean? Not think about the UFO. I disconnected from drone watch and looking at the drone stuff. I was like, let me just enjoy the holiday.
Yeah.
I'll get back to it when I get back. And I'm going back into the drone stuff. As long as those drones are over, and we don't know what they are, there's no finality to that, and they're still there in the way that we've seen them be there so far, and these people are still concerned in their homes, then I think it's our duty to kind of make sure.
It doesn't make sense, you know. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't.
It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. Like it's super suspicious, you know, what Preston was talking about, how this thing, that's his take on the drones. It's exactly how I feel, you know. Who knows? It's very weird what's going on. Everybody's acting suspicious, you know. Trump's making statements. Nobody's making an official statement, you know. We're not getting that White House press corps, you know, immediate call to action, you know, that stops all news and says, okay, this is what they are. But they've been up there. They're flying over airports. They're flying over military installations. Like it's just weird. It's just weird, you know. Oh, and that CIA thing that about pyramids on Mars, I talked about that months ago when talking about Joe Nagel on the Sean Ryan show, and now we're actually getting the actual documents coming out about it. That's pretty awesome.
If you have anything on that, shoot it my way, because I know I was talking to the gentleman, Animal Podcast. Actually, I was on there earlier today. If you guys missed that, you definitely should go check it out. Great conversation there too. But yeah, I hadn't heard about that. So if there's some paperwork that came out about it, send me some links and stuff so I can see it. Now, I did want to point this out for Jeremy Jones. Shout out to Jeremy Jones. It's all love. So just know that I'm saying it's all love, and then I'm going to say something after that. So the drone thing, right? I'm over the drone thing. I understand where you're coming from with that. I understand where a lot of people are like, oh, I'm so exhausted with the drone thing. Now, here's what we need to keep in mind. If this turns out to be even partially something that is anomalous or related to the phenomena, and if all it takes is for answers not to be given for a month for us to now say, okay, that's not important anymore, let me toss that aside and move on. If that's the attitude we're going to have, we will never get to disclosure. Because if this was disclosure right in your face, but then everyone is so sick of hearing about drones, then you'd be sick of having the conversation of disclosure at the same time, because essentially you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And I've brought this up before because I think there are a lot of cases that we've immediately kind of just brushed off, interested for a moment and kind of brushed it off after that without really giving it as just due or seeing the process through. It may turn out that drones there's nothing to this. It's all man-made, no anomalous activity. But it also may turn out that it's absolutely something else. And then the thought process on trying to get rid of it so soon, I think would be looked on in hindsight as a mistake. And it's just, you don't want to do that. As long as there are concerned people and there are no answers, and they're worried out of their minds about what is flying over their house, and there's a possibility that it could be related to something anomalous. It's technically like our duty to make sure that we still stay engaged with it in order to see it through one way or the other. But if it's this easy to shake everyone off the trail by just because they haven't said anything and it's just been going on for so long, if that's enough to kind of, dissuade you from wanting to know what this actually is, what do you do? Because we got about 30 seconds left.
I don't know that they even asked Bassar the other day. I seen he was at a channeling or whatever doing an event, and they asked him about the drones. He didn't know, so it's like, I don't know. I don't know that gave me, I would have thought anyone would have known it would have been Bassar, like during a channeling. So he said that some of them are, some of them aren't, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, and I agree with that sentiment. Some of them are, some of them aren't, but why won't they talk? Why won't they? And there's the reason to it, and I think we should keep it at least on the board until then. Here we go. We're coming back. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. After hour 2.5, we're on the back half of the third hour already. The show is already going that fast. Right here with my guy, Drew Banky, with the After Hours wrap-up. We're going to get into some more of that. But like I said before a few times, if you miss any of this show, make sure you jump in the archives, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Bring yourself up to speed on what we've been talking about all night, because it's been a great one. As once again, we thank the guest for coming through today, Dolly Safran and Preston Dennett. Just always a great time. And I always look at, when I look around, and I've said this about different people within ufology, is that you look at the good that they've done for the subject. You look at, like, Preston is just researching day in, day out, and has 34 books almost coming soon with just data. And you look around, and there's other people in the field that have exactly done that. And I think those people should get their praise for, putting in that work, that leg work that a lot of us haven't done. I haven't written a book about this. I haven't researched thousands of cases. I've looked into a lot, but I haven't curated the data in one space for you to come get. I guess I'm technically kind of doing that in a way with the conversations that we have, and now have a playlist of things. So I guess maybe, but I just like, getting engaged with those people, because when I came into ufology, I saw Preston on everything that I watched. Every documentary about UFOs, everything that was bringing me up to speed on the subject featured Preston Dennett and a lot of other people that I would love to talk to. So it's always awesome to have him on the show. And he's gracious with his time. He doesn't have to do it, you know what I mean? But he always steps in, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah. It's like I said, we have to respect each other's time, each other's space. Like people coming out sharing, these people don't get paid to come on the show. This is they're taking time, 2 hours of their life, lots of time late at night, especially if you're in the States. It's going to be late at night. If you're in the East Coast, it's even going to be later. To come on this show for free. Just for the hopes that maybe something that you say is going to hit a nerve in someone and help them in some way, form, or fashion. And I know from personal experience, that's, I give up, a lot of my time. I give up a lot of time away from my family. My wife has covered down with 2 toddlers. So we have to respect all that. Like, we have to respect people's opinion. We have to, even if we don't agree with it, and we have to keep going back to that. But we also have to respect people's time. The man has wrote many books. I've wrote 2, and I know how much work has went in just those 2. So I can only imagine how much time and energy has went into writing over 30 books. So, coming up on 33, 34 books. That's insane. It's a lot of work to get a book, get it to a publisher, and get it out there and get it in circulation and everything, and promote it. Like he's promoting his own books, like all that. So that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. And I talked to I can't remember who I asked about this, but the new wave of Preston Dennett's, and I'm looking for those, like, who are those people out there? And maybe it could be you, the person sitting here watching right now. Maybe you can pick up on the research that someone else has done and kind of take it that next step further and be that new research person, that go-to person. So a lot of us out here, and some people who you're not consciously thinking of this as something that is achievable or possible for you to do, because you're just not thinking about it. And you can literally get out there and compile data in the same fashion, and we need it. And I was pointing to one thing that had to do with the drone thing, as we talked about during the break. But one thing that it was really making me happy about the current situation, and to where I looked at it as, I don't care how this ends, I'm just happy that people are looking up at the skies. People who weren't before are now looking up at the skies. People who weren't before are now asking their government questions. People who were not before in the media are now asking tough questions as well. And granted, it had to be this situation to kind of bring it to fruition, but this is either way you look at it, this having something in your skies and not knowing what it is and why it's there and having no answers is very concerning. And just the alertness, the awareness, I'm just glad is there, because that'll bleed over into so many other things, UFO related, or just being aware, period, of your surroundings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I couldn't totally agree. We've talked about the drone things before, and ultimately, no matter what it is from this planet, not mixture, Project Blue Beam, whatever it is, it has awoken a lot of people to look up at the sky. We have a lot more eyes in the sky. We have a lot more, iPhones pointing up at the sky at night, all that stuff. So it's created a stir that is a positive thing. And this is like what I talk about all the time. It's about perspective. Everything, especially here in the physical. I don't think it lives in the past, but everything here has a positive or negative way of looking at it, and it's your choice on how you want to look at it. How do you want to perceive what's going on right now in a positive? If the government shuts down right now, is it an apocalypse or is it a new beginning? If we go back to more homesteading ways and living off grid, is it positive or a negative? It's we have to look at it however how we choose, and it's about our perception. Hey Scott, how are you doing? I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at this here, we had a comment come through, Scott Rosen, saying, I like Rob, but I'm a Drew fan. So we got that up here on the screen, because I'm a Drew fan too. I'm a Drew fan as well. And I lean on Drew for a lot of stuff. And we talk a lot. Drew has a wealth of knowledge and information that is very useful in today's conversation, which is why he is right here on this show.
Getting ready to go to Vegas, man, next week. Just a couple of days away. About to do the big time.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Vegas. So what day is that going to be?
I'll be there. So I'll be there on the 2nd. I'll be there on the evening of the 2nd, and the interviews on the 3rd, and then I fly out that evening. So I'll only be there for one day.
I'm going to try to be there, man. It came so fast, dude. It came so fast. And I'm literally only 300 miles away from there.
It's a whole year away.
I'm going to, man.
It's next year. It's next year.
That's true.
Can you believe how fast 2024 is gone? Man, I will say I've seen some things in the chat, a lot of positive is bringing up a lot of positive reactions in the chat when Dolly was delivering. The way she was delivering was bringing up some things in the chat, which is great. You know, if it brought out a lot of people's thoughts in the chat, which I was seeing, you know, that people feel like a big thing coming, but it's going to be positive. And I think that's great. But I think 2025 is going to be an amazing year. I really do. 2024 has been an amazing year. Like, look at everything that's happened this year, you know, from front to back. And we're right here right at the end of it. But 2025, yeah, I think I agree with Preston. I think this new administration is going to make a huge announcement on UFOs very early on, you know, before February, I believe.
Don't give your full thing. We still got a show to do. I was going to ask you your resolution tomorrow. So now you're going to have to rehash.
We're going to, I have more stuff tomorrow, man. That's what, you know, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. So, yeah. And as far as 2024, just as the year is gone, I'm going to look back because we actually did a New Year's show right here on Spaced Out Radio. At least I did, along with Science Bob and Melinda Leslie and Jim Goodall, all-star panel there. And I had them, they joined me, graciously gave me their time to bring in the New Year's last year. And we did resolutions for what we thought 2024 was going to be. I sort of remember mine, but I'm going to go back because I want to see if they hit any good points, right? So that's going to be good. I'm going to do that tonight, and then if it's relevant, then I'll clip it, and then we'll show it tomorrow.
Yes.
But I think that was pretty awesome. I'm taking New Year's off, but I might do a show. It's in me. If I'm not too tied up on something else, then I definitely want to try to be here for the audience. So potentially a New Year's show, no promises, but if I can make it happen, then I'm definitely going to do that, guys. New Year's Eve. Last year we brought in the New Year's for each time zone, so East, Mountain, Central, Pacific. So we had like 4 countdowns during the show. So
dang,
it was pretty awesome.
That sounds fun. That sounds fun.
Sounds fun.
Yeah,
dude.
but man, I remember at the beginning at the end of 2023, I put it out that my goal was in 2024 was to get a solid invite to go on Rogan, and it hasn't happened yet. So if you're out there and if you feel like it, drop them a line, you know, tag them in a comment, something like, let's try to make it happen. Cause I hate not to come through on my goals. And man, I feel it coming. I've had dreams about it, so I know it's coming. So it'd be really amazing to have a miracle happen. But if you're out there, if you're listening, if you feel it, if you feel me, drop them a line, you know, and let them know what's up. And that Sean Ryan guy.
Yes, please do that. Please do that. And actually, I'm gonna leave you with this, Drew. This is there was a question for you out here, so I'm gonna get your answer on this before we move on with the show. So they want, and just to set the stage for the radio audience out there, so Drew Banky is in a studio that is separate from his house. Okay, he lives on a plane essentially with no other civilization around him. It's totally fields and mountains all around him, and it's pitch black dark outside. This question comes from Mr. Melted saying, what would Drew do if a gray alien appeared behind his window? He thinks about it.
I don't know. I would, you know, probably, I don't know what I would do. I'd probably not go outside for a minute, but I don't know. You know, I'm a human. Like even the question scares me, you know, because I'm looking in the camera behind me right now. So, you know, you just never know. I don't know what I would do.
I'd probably be really scared, I'm sure. And if it was sitting in that window, just so Mr. Melted knows, Drew is on the 2nd floor. So that would be a really tall gray alien, or it would be levitating or doing something along those lines. So with that being said, Drew, we're going to go ahead and get this thing wrapped up, man. We're going to come back and do the same thing tomorrow with our guest, Josh Rutledge.
Sounds great.
I will see you here.
Last show of the year, guys.
Last one of the year, unless we happen to do a New Year's show. But yeah, maybe last show of the year. All right,
might be last time you see me is tomorrow. So
appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming in, and we'll do this again.
All right, brother. I appreciate it. Love you guys. Love everybody in the chat. The chat was lit. I think we got up to 156. I seen in the chat today. Smash that like button. Follow me on X. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, all of them. And see you guys tomorrow night.
All right, Drew Mankey. Talk to you soon, man.
All right, brother.
Later. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap this thing up right after we get into our news for the night. We got a couple weird UFO and news stories, and I'm going to go ahead and bring those up if you guys have the time. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
All right, UFO and weird news of the week. We got a couple stories that hopefully I can get in, and we'll try to do so as we have about 6 minutes left here. And this one is people are demanding answers after man is knocked out by a UFO in a shocking video. It has been claimed that the incident was filmed in Colombia earlier this year. People are demanding answers after home closed circuit television footage shows a man getting knocked out by a weird object. Believers think it's a UFO, while others have come up with even crazier theories. Have a look to see what you think. It shows a video here. A few months ago on Reddit, a Reddit user shared a mind-boggling video on the platform, and it certainly divided the crowd. The viral clip filmed on the 21st of July appears to show a man being knocked over outside of a home shortly after entering the property. This happens 14 seconds into the video as an object that appears out of nowhere slams into the door frame. So this happened a few days ago in my hometown in Colombia, the user claimed. A really fast and strange object knocked the man down to the floor through the stairs. He had 24 stitches at the hospital. I wouldn't classify this as an orb, as some of my friends think, neither an animal. What do you guys think? As you expect, people in the comments were coming up with all sorts of theories. As one person said, this video is absolutely wild. Haven't ever seen anything like it. Looks like there's a lot of reflection on the side of the vehicle. Not sure if that's from traffic or what. While another thought, it was just something tied to the door, tied tight to hold it open. If you watch, the door starts to close right before it happened. A third argued, not really, just actually look at the reflection and you see it actually goes on a lot longer than the object. What likely happened here is the guy got knocked out by something from inside or got electrocuted and jumped back. And at the exact same time, some bug lit up in front of the camera. Someone else also questioned, I don't know, the fact the dog goes immediately towards the object, where the object came from, kind of freaks me out. Right after that, the dog does move to the body on the ground, but its attention is immediately taken to that area. I wonder if the dog's sniffer picked up something. The eagle eyes have spotted the object circling around the cement mixer, help confirm depth and motion of Fifth added. This is a bug that is flying to the left, then towards the camera, then up and over the top right edge of the camera, nearly directly at it. Velocity and size of the object increased relatively proportionally to each other. Whatever your opinion, we can surely agree how weird it is. And you can catch that video online. If you go ahead and look that up, we'll go ahead and get into our next story here, which we can potentially finish here. 4 terrifying predictions living Nostradamus claims he got correct in 2024 as he shares list for 2025. So what can we expect to happen in the next 12 months? Here are the 4 claims which our very own living Nostradamus guessed correctly for 2024 as he shares a list of terrifying 2025 predictions. We're just days away from the calendar switching over from 2024 to 2025, with the days between Christmas and New Year proving to be the perfect time to look back at the last 12 months as we think about what we'd like to see happen in the next year. One person currently doing just that is Brazilian man Apto Salome, who has earned the nickname Living Nostradamus in the past couple of years thanks to his chilling prophecies about mankind's future. So what predictions did Salome have for the past year, and how many of them were true? Which of Salome's predictions came true? After claiming to have predicted major global events such as COVID-19 pandemic, the death of Queen Elizabeth II, and Elon Musk buying X, Salome has quite a large reputation to live up when it comes to sharing his visions of the future. 26-year-old is said to have made numerous predictions ahead of 2024 and believes the four of these went on to be true. These are the Microsoft outage. Earlier this year, the technology software across the globe suffered major outages from CrowdStrike, issued a faulty update which caused havoc numerous airports, hospitals, banks, and more. The God of Chaos asteroid. Many of Salome's predictions feared warnings about asteroids, with 99942 Apophis initially being considered a collision threat earlier in the year. Cybersecurity attacks. Our living Nostradamus had warned about the risks of cyber attacks which could sabotage global communication back in the summer. Severe weather. Salome stated that at the end of 2023, that a number of natural disasters would strike, with Asia specifically being devastated. He would later claim that this referred to Typhoon Yagi, which hit the coastlines of Vietnam, China, Philippines, Hong Kong, Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, and Macau in late August, early September. In September of 2024, real events supported these expectations, with Typhoon Yagi, which affected and brought large amounts of damages to these parts of the world, he said. Were any of his predictions incorrect? Unfortunately, oracles are just like us and make mistakes too, as a number of Salome's beliefs failed to materialize in the past 12 months. These include World War III kicking off in the South China Sea, Earth actually being hit by the God of Chaos asteroid, and an asteroid space race between the superpowers. Which predictions has he made for 2025? Following the trend of modern mystics, seeing nothing but doom and gloom in our futures, here are Salome's predictions for 2025. Number one, artificial intelligence spinning out of control. Number two, manufactured climate disasters. Number three, military secrets spilling. Number four, contact with extraterrestrials. Number five, genetically modified humans. Number six, population control. Number seven, manufactured energy crisis. Strap it in. It's going to be a rough one. Those are excellent predictions. Some of those we could, in this field, point to as potentially being likely. Like, regardless of what we think about what's in the sky, we potentially could have contact with extraterrestrials this year. Genetically modified humans, they've probably been doing that. AI spinning out of control, we're already on the cusp of that. So awesome news story there. Want to definitely thank LED Bible for those stories. Want to thank Preston, Dennett, Dolly Safran for coming in today, hours 1 and 2. We want to thank Drew Banky with the After Hours wrap up. Also, Steve Stockton, Tales Untold, Mrs. Person Mysteries. And we want to thank the man that you hear right there, Ron Bumblefoot, the one who rocks us out each and every weekend, teaching us to never say never again, because yes, the phenomena is real and everything and anything is possible. So if you enjoyed the show tonight, go ahead and make sure you show your love, throw your horns up. Also, we want to thank our viewers and listeners, both on terrestrial radio and digital platforms, from wherever and whenever you are listening. It has been a pleasure. We appreciate you tuning that frequency to Spaced Out Radio, where we do what we do best. What's that, you ask? We own the night. Once again, Spaced Out Radio is copyright SOR Media Ventures Limited. It has been a pleasure serving you as your host. I am Mr. Rob G. This is the After Hours Radio Show. And space travelers, this isn't a goodbye nor a farewell. However, you can best believe as we go off air for the night, we will be right back here, same time, same channel tomorrow. Make sure you're here. Much love. Take care. Okay, guys, we are done. Great show today. Once again, thanking everyone for being a part of the show. Great conversation with Preston and Dolly. Shout out to Preston and Dolly and the Lightgate. Make sure you guys go over there and give a subscribe if you already haven't. Awesome stuff over there. And yeah, my guy Drew Mankey, man, Steve Stockton, killer show. What more could you ask for? I do thank everyone for coming in and supporting and watching the show tonight as well. You guys are all awesome. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for engaging. This is why we have these conversations, for that sort of engagement. So you guys are awesome. We will see you right back here tomorrow with Josh Rutledge. We're going to go ahead and get in some good stuff. Also, once again, Reed Summers is coming next week. You remember the first conversation. Part 2 is going to be even more epic. So just can't wait for that. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Let's get this thing. I don't know where it's at. I haven't checked, but let's get this thing over 100 likes just off the bat. Come on, guys. Let's do that. And let's do it again tomorrow. And I do see you, Woo Riders DG. I wrote the name down, James Bartley. If you can, DG, send me a link to the phone number, the 856-843-3444 or 856-THE-DIG, so I could follow up, hopefully with this social media link. That would be great, and I would appreciate that. Other than that, let's go ahead and rock up out of here as I get ready to take it on home. You guys all take care. We want retribution. That's where we're going to leave it. You guys have a great one. Take care.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boy, you love with a cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Beat in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it. Like a disease, free to their knees. No pain for them to see. Just like a wind, spread into the streets. Time to make them bleed. Cause we just want retribution. Let's go light up the darkness. Make true of an empty promise. Flip cards in the weak and harmless. Take to the streets and turn them to a mosh pit. Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.